but it's been too long. I feel like we have to bring this back. Yes, Marty, please. Let's play the feud. Okay.
It's going to hit a little different since we're both in studio.
That's
This
true.
is the first time we've done it where you guys are in studio.
That is also true. Yes. So one of you guys needs to leave. Get out.
I have a better chance.
I'll get out.
No. I'm going to get out because.
No, get out.
All right, Vic's going to take a walk.
No. Let you get out because
Well, we're going to switch anyway. It doesn't even matter. Go ahead and go.
Vic, you suck either way, so it's fine.
You can't be near the speakers out there either. Go to a hole somewhere. Don't listen.
Go see Marky and just hide.
So here's the situation, guys. For
can't
those of you
believe this.
who are new to the program, every once in a while, Marty, every couple of months maybe, we play the Fast Money Round the Feud. And the reason why, this stems all the way back to there was a athlete episode of this, and somebody gave a terrible answer. And they said we could do way better than that. And so you win the Fast Money Round by getting to 200. They've never done it once.
We've probably done this 10 times.
Oh, more than 10. I think it's got to be like closer to 15.
I think Katie Wingy and I did it, didn't we?
Yeah, but I'm saying
Wingy
know. Yeah, you're right. You and Vic, though, have never gotten to 200. So,
But you know why?
well,
Because my partner is terrible. You state me to the worst possible partner in the history of radio.
coach up your teammates, Moj. I don't know what to tell you.
No, we're not
yet.
done yet.
Sorry.
We're not even started
Haven't
yet.
even started yet.
Take that L on the way out.
Ready, Moj?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Name a complimentary item you'd find in your hotel room.
Bottled water.
What is the average screen time for a teenager?
7 hours a day?
Name a part of the body a person rubs to get the circulation going.
Your feet.
Name one of the top grossing films of all time.
Golly. Avatar.
Besides CBS, name a TV network that starts with a C.
CNN.
Okay. All right, Moshe. See, this is always good. Moshe always does a
You didn't fall
decent
for
job. He didn't. Well, he wanted to fall for it to get that circulation going. You know what I mean?
Dude, this is going to be a disaster.
You wanted to.
This is going to be a disaster for dude. Is he back in yet? Or?
He's coming in now.
Bye-bye.
No, you don't got to leave yet. You can hang around for this.
Oh, that's right. I can't.
Yeah.
I've already answered.
All right, Vic, stop me if you've heard this before. It feels like Mosher did a pretty good job, so now it's kind of up to you to bring it home, okay?
All right.
Marty, 25 seconds on the clock. And here we go. Name a complimentary item you'd find in a hotel room.
Toothbrush.
What is the average screen time for a teenager?
5 hours. Day.
Name a part of the body a person rubs to get the circulation going.
Head.
Name one of the top grossing films of all time.
Top Gun.
Besides CBS, name a TV network that starts with a C.
C-SPAN.
Oh, God. All right.
What?
Marty, let's tally up the results here.
That's good stuff.
Well, you said...
Survey says not good stuff.
Well, we'll get there in a second. So name a complimentary item you'd find in your hotel room. Mosier, you said a bottle of water.
What do you mean?
I didn't get a free bottle of
Those
water.
aren't complimentary.
No, they make you pay for that crap.
Yeah, those aren't complimentary.
I don't know where you stay, but when I'm with the Avalanche, we usually get a bottle of water in
I
there.
was just at the Marriott
we
in
don't
Houston.
stay there.
They wanted to make me pay for it,
Well,
and I refused to drink it. I won't drink
Vic,
it.
you said a toothbrush. I've never seen a complimentary toothbrush just hanging out in the bathroom when I've walked in.
If you go downstairs and say, "Can I get a
What do you mean,
toothbrush?" I'll give it to you.
Like a robe or slippers or something? What are we talking
Soap.
about?
Soap,
Left in your
mint,
hotel room.
shampoo,
Soap?
coffee, a Bible, something like that.
Bible.
There's a Bible in every hotel room.
How in the heck is soap complimentary? What am I supposed to go to travel with my own soap?
That's a complimentary soap. Yeah, that's what that means.
So you're supposed to give it back?
No, whatever. That's
Complimentary,
a zero.
I think of as like something you don't need. Soap you need.
What is the average screen time for a teenager? Moj, you said 7 hours. Yeah, 17. 17 there for that.
A day?
Yeah. Vic, you said, Marty, before you hit the button, hang on. Vic, you said 5 hours. Now? Yeah. Top answer was 9 hours a day. 9
Jesus.
hours a day. Then 10, 6, 7, and 11.
That's insane.
I have a teenager.
So do
That was
I.
Stupid. I should have.
If she's at 9 hours a day, then she's getting grounded and no phone.
She's at 9 hours a day easily. What are you talking about?
Name a part of the body a person rubs to get the circulation going. Mosier, you said feet. Yeah, it's number 2 answer. 22 on that. Vic, you said your head.
Jesus. Nobody rubs their head
You don't do this?
to get the circulation going.
What the hell does that mean?
Cold.
When you're giving me an aneurysm, yes, then I do.
Am I 87 years old that I need to rub things to get the
Hands,
circulation going?
arms, legs were the other
I
answers.
don't rub anything. What are you rubbing for?
I'll rub anything too, but it's about circulation.
That's the
Yeah,
dumbest thing I've ever heard in my
okay.
life.
Vic, you're 0 for 3. Name one of the top grossing films of all time. Mosier, you said Avatar. Number 1 answer. Yes, 40 on that one. Vic said a movie he liked, which was Top Gun.
That should be up
Another
there.
0. The Avengers,
not up there?
Titanic, Star
See, I
Wars,
don't do
Jurassic Park,
cartoons, dude.
Harry
I don't
Potter.
I don't do everything you just named is a cartoon.
Titanic?
That's a cartoon, the way they did it. I don't do cartoons.
Well, then every movie's a cartoon to
No.
some extent because it's all fake.
No.
Besides CBS, name a TV network that starts with C. Mosier, you said CNN. Yeah, number 1 answer is 28 on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Vic, you said C-SPAN. Number
Thank
2
you.
answer,
See?
26.
See, I don't even know any ones after that.
So, Vic, you averaged 5 per response on that one.
Did we
Marty,
win?
what's the final tally here?
133 points.
Yeah,
if you guys
still-
showed up for the number 1 question, you would have probably competed.
Yeah, that's right. So, Moj, you got to take a walk now. We got another game. We got... You kill Moj every time we play this game.
Well,
you
I mean-
kill him.
I have an issue with the rubbing circulation thing because that's dumb. Nobody rubs anything. You get up,
Gun.
you start running.
One of the top
Pop out a
grossing
few
movies of all
push-ups.
time. What was the one that they bring up all the time?
Caddyshack.
No, what was the one with the cutters? What is that movie called?
Breaking away.
Breaking Away. Yeah, you should have
This
said
one.
Breaking Away.
You know what this is from?
I don't.
Bad News Bears.
Oh, Bad News Bears.
Bears.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah, the stupid cartoons like Avatar.
All right, take a walk, Moj. Get out of here. Go to a dark place. No speakers, no nothing. Leave. Vic, that was bad the last round. Do you feel like you can do better here?
Yeah, it's always easier to go first because you get first dibs. Watch this. Hey, Denver, watch this.
All right. We'll see. Marty, 20 seconds on the clock. Here we go. Besides heavyweight and lightweight, name a boxing class.
Middleweight,
What kind of crime is the easiest to get away with?
theft,
Besides Real Housewives of New York, name any other city.
what? Real Housewives of Atlanta.
You're at a coffee shop and you order a large black coffee. The barista flips around the iPad. What tip percentage you hitting?
20.
How long does a workout last?
1 hour and 13 minutes. Just round it off to an hour. Round it off to an hour.
Is that allowed,
Yes.
Marty?
Go,
An hour?
Go on.
That's it.
We'll round
No,
it up
that's
to
fine.
90 minutes. We can't round down in Family Feud.
Okay, 90
Well, it
minutes.
depends. My workout or Mosier's workout?
No, I'm just going to give him an hour. I'll
Yeah,
give him an hour.
Okay, fine.
Mosier's going to say, what? Oh, God.
Yeah, nope. Mosier's back,
I know.
so we have to be quiet.
I still think Top Gun roast a lot.
It did gross a lot, but not one of the. All right.
Moj, 25 seconds on the clock. You ready?
Probably.
Here we go. Besides heavyweight and lightweight, name a boxing class.
Welterweight.
What kind of crime is easiest to get away with?
Theft.
Another answer.
Money laundering.
Damn.
Besides Real Housewives of New York, name any other city.
The Real Housewives of Orange County.
You're at a coffee shop. You order a large black coffee. The barista flips the iPad around. What tip percentage you hitting?
15.
How long does a workout last?
45 minutes.
Okay.
Man, I think this is pretty good.
This is gonna be
I
close.
told you, Denver. Be ready. Big brains.
Hang on. We need to make a definitive answer on this. Is Vic's answer for the workout question an hour and a half? Because I don't know which one you think is going to be the more popular answer.
I'm going to say an hour.
All right, fine.
Okay.
Now, I do an hour 13 of a warm-up.
He said an hour and 13 minutes.
That's very specific.
So I'm actually giving you a pass on this.
It's an hour. It's fine.
Besides heavyweight and lightweight, name a boxing class. Vic said middleweight.
Yeah.
20 answers on that one. Yeah, nice. Mosier, you said welterweight.
You know why? Because Sugar Ray Leonard and company, when the welterweight division
was
used to be the best division in the world.
Stacked.
The
You
best.
don't even know, do you? You don't
So
know.
dumb.
You're so stupid.
That's another 20 responses. What kind of crime is...
Wait, no.
No, you can name a welterweight champion.
No, you have to give us some points on those.
I did. I said 20. That's you guys. It was both 20 for each of you.
Each of them got
yes,
20.
Each of them got 20.
All right, good. Right on, baby.
That's right.
What kind of crime is the easiest to get away with?
Every?
Vic said theft.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of theft on here.
Let's just go with
Give him the top
stealing.
one.
Okay, fine.
Stealing cars.
Yeah, that's the number one answer.
Yeah.
Well, wait, stealing cars?
No, just stealing.
Stealing cars.
Just stealing.
I was thinking
You were stealing cars? Okay, fine. That is, it's on there. It's on there.
So stealing cars.
Stealing cars is 20.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking of. When I was thinking of theft,
Okay.
I think of automatically taking cars.
Mosher said money laundering.
God dang it, that's a bunch of
You
crap.
suck, dude. You've been watching too much Jason Bateman in Ozark.
Speeding, identity theft,
Speeding's not really a
cold-blooded
crime.
It's not
murder.
a crime.
Speeding's
Come on,
not a
we're not doing
crime.
traffic citations here.
If I go 43 to
pathetic.
40 down Colorado, I'm not breaking the law.
I mean, I got people committing arson out there that don't get caught.
Yeah.
You're talking about speeding?
What about squatting?
Besi-
Loser? How many people are squatting nowadays?
Besides Real Housewives of New York, name any other city that show was in. Vic, you said Atlanta,
Atlanta.
which I think was Atlanta. And yes, that's on the board. That's 25. That's a good answer. Mosher, you said Orange County.
Yes.
Both of those are tied for first.
Yes.
25 apiece.
Oh, it's right here, baby.
Hey, money laundering should be there. I'm telling you. Don't you ever watch
We
TV?
might have a chance. Shut up.
Marty, do we have the tally so far?
We are at 120.
What wins for us?
120. You need to get to
I'm sorry,
200.
110. 110.
110.
That sounds like
We
crap.
get to 200.
You need to get to
It's
200.
impossible.
You're at a
Game's
coffee
impossible.
shop. You order a large black coffee. The barista flips the iPad around. What tip percentage are you hitting? Vic, you said 20%. Number 2 answer on the board. 24 responses there. Mosher, you said 15. 11 responses on that. Number 1 was 0. 40.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah. Cheap asses.
Is that it? That they just turned around and poured the coffee? Like they
do
didn't actually
anything.
make
Come
it?
on. Yeah.
They're working for a living.
People are out there working, dude.
Well,
I
cold-blooded
do
people
feel kind
out
of
there.
bad sometimes, like when somebody's just at the register checking you out, right? I throw up like a sandwich and a Diet Coke, and they're like, okay, they flip it around. I'm like, well, you didn't do anything. I got my own food.
So after that, so that's 30. That's 35 more. So at 145.
145.
They need 55 here to hit the number. How long does a workout last? We gave Vic an hour,
Yeah.
which was the number 1 response with 26.
Then we can't do it. We needed 55.
Oh, that's right.
So screw off.
Oh no.
You're zero screwed up.
What did Mosher say again?
Yeah,
How long was
zero.
it?
Money
45
laundering.
minutes? Did you say 45?
He said 45. Yep.
That's a good answer. It's 20 responses, but you fell, what, 9 short?
191.
Money laundering
That's
should
a
be
Nine
there.
short.
Hey, Brett, revisit number 2.
That's
when
the
Vic said he
closest.
wanted to do car theft instead of regular stealing.
Who said speeding? Speeding is not a crime.
Oh, why? Was stealing more?
I was going to give you stealing, which was the number 1 answer. That was 30, but you
Yeah, but
said car theft, which was 20. That would have got you to 200.
But Steven talked your way out of it.
Steven's too
You
broad.
talked your way out of a win.
Because it's too broad. I want to get more specific. When you steal, there's a lot of things you can steal. I can go to that Target right now and go crazy. You want me to go to that Target and go crazy? I'll go steal.
Marty, they could have won.
What was the question?
What kind of crime is easiest to get away with?
My answer would be everything.
Well, that's a 0. Then you're even worse off than you were beforehand.
Better luck next time, guys. That's a high water mark, though. 191.
That's as good as you guys have done. 191 is
Siri. She's listening.
Siri doesn't know what's going on. I was going to say safe breaking, but that was very specific.
Siri.
I feel so bad for you guys. That was it. That was the winner.
You have to admit, I
Vic
carried.
actually did pretty well.
I
you
carried
did.
my
It's
weight.
a launder
You did
money.
really well.
I carried my weight, right?
Yeah.
Today.
The only 0 on the one that you guys were 9 short was money laundering from Moj. That
Mosher,
was
can you
it.
repeat what you just said?
I just asked Siri how easy it was to launder money. And there's about a billion websites that say 7 money laundering techniques and how they're carried out. Money laundering, an overview, how it works.
All right, tell me how it works, Sparky. Without reading it, how would you launder money?
Mosher, there's also a show called How to Get Away with Murder.
Here it is.
Seems simple.
Let's say you come across some cash, which you never have.
Okay, no, it's not that. It's not that. Okay, let's say you do a drug deal.
Okay.
Right, and you get $100,000 from a coke deal or whatever, and then you then you take that and you invest that like in a laundromat, and then you take money out of the laundromat's profits, and then now you have clean money.
But if I'm the laundromat, I'm like, why am I trusting?
No,
your money?
you already own the laundromat too.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But that's a legitimate business. You put that money
like
into the business.
Tony
then you
Soprano's
pull out
sanitation
profits.
services.
You pull profits out of the business, and then I've watched like Lethal Weapon. I know what's going on.
And that is how you commit crime, folks.
All right, you know what?
Get to the nuggets here in a couple of minutes. Stick around. Early tip tonight for the Nuggets. It's 5 o'clock with pregame at 4:30. You can hear it right here, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
How do you feel about those early tips?
I don't mind them. Now, it's different for us, though, because we're like, our work day is done,
Yeah.
with the exception of the TV stuff
I'm
that we do.
talking about a viewer. You settle in. A lot of people.
But like I said,
miss
if I'm working a 9 to 5, then that'd be bothersome to me because I couldn't make the beginning of the games. That would kind of suck. But for me, I
You know, you
think
start
it's
your day
great.
when you do that.
What's that?
You tumble out of bed and you stumble to the kitchen.
Oh, why? Why?
Then you pour yourself a cup of ambition. And then you yawn and stretch and try to come to life.
What's funny is I already forgot those words.
I know you did. But when he says 9 to 5, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what? I honestly, having been on the East Coast and then clearly in Finland, man, it's hard to catch stuff. Okay, even on the late games on the East Coast, it's hard because I mean they tip off, or I mean, think of the Nuggets. Remember, Vic, those 8:45 tips, like those. You're like, okay, well, it's 10:45 in New York when they tip, and that's just the game in Denver at 8:45, let alone California or wherever. It's difficult. And then, of course, having grown up in California, Monday Night Football would come on at 5 o'clock, man, like 5 o'clock kickoff, and you're like, it's hard to catch the whole thing.
Is there anything about the Nuggets right now that you wish they were doing better?
Defense.
Absolutely
They play-
defense.
well, hang on
They're
a
not a
second.
top 15 defense. Then, if you want to
They've
win
worked-
an NBA title, you have to be a top 10 defense minimum.
As good as they have been, Brett, and right now they're 17 overall in the NBA. That's because they've
the
worked their way
answer.
up. They've worked their way up from 30. That's
I know.
because they were dead last.
There's
But
no
hang
other
on.
answer. There's no other answer. The answer is defense. There is no
Question-
other
I
answer.
guess I could do the research on this and I could crunch the numbers real quick. But if I remove the first 4 games of the season that were awful defensively, where would they stack up after that? If they're 17th, even with those games, they'd have to be near top 10 in the last 6.
Well, yeah, they're trending upward. You're exactly right. But I mean, that's the part of the game. That's the phase of the game they need to. Even against San Antonio the other night, they had stretches where they weren't playing defense. All I'm telling you is, when the Nuggets are balling, remember when they had that win streak a couple years ago? They had the number 1 defense in the NBA for a stretch.
Yeah.
You got to stop people. And the reason they beat San Antonio the other night, everybody's going to point to the 2-man game. I get that. Offense was great. The reason they beat San Antonio is because with the 4 minutes to play, KCP and Bruce Brown on the perimeter started causing turnovers.
There's a lot to, I think, the idea, and I know that Scott Hastings mentions this all the time. Vic, when they play good offense, they play good defense.
Mm-hmm.
And when their offense starts to sputter, they start to care less defensively, it feels like. That's the weird thing, and I don't know how common that is between teams in the league, if most teams are like that or not. Maybe you just get, like, frustrated and you're like, who cares? I don't know. But that's where they run into problems. If they start missing shots, that's why these huge runs take place.
Sure. The other thing that bothers me at times, and this is universal, every NBA team seems to do this, you start building a nice cushion. Let's say you build a 9-10 point lead and things are clicking, and then you start settling for dumb threes, right?
Yeah.
Like, watch this, I'm going to hit this 3. No, just keep doing what you were doing. Keep doing what you were doing to get those easy buckets.
Yeah, and you get out of a rhythm and you start forcing shots and your head gets out of the game and then blam. I mean, listen, the NBA has always been and continues to be a game of runs. It does. But it doesn't mean you have to set a team up for a run with poor shot selection. If you want to do something good from this point on, be a team that limits the other team's runs to a 10-0, not a 17-2, right? Or 24-6 run. These kind of silly runs that every team gives up, but just try to limit it as much as possible. You're not going to be able to stop it. Every team gets on runs. It's a game of waves, but just try to limit perhaps those runs the best you can.
Yeah, I'm looking at the top defenses in the league. So number 1 is Milwaukee. They give up 103
And they have the best record in the league.
Phoenix is number 2. They give up 103
And
and a
they
half.
have among the best records in the league.
Then it's Cleveland at 105.
And there you go again.
Toronto at 106.
I'm not sure what their record is.
They're 6-5.
Philly at 107. They're 5th in the league.
They can't score as much, though.
You know, Portland is number 8. They give up 109 a game. I mean, there's obviously something to this. And you know what? Golden State's struggling this year. You guys, like, are they still sub 500? Golden State?
Yeah, well, they're 4-7. Yeah, they're way under 500.
Should have lost. Did you hear about the
They're last in defense, by the way.
Are they really?
Dead last.
Goodness gracious. And usually that's their calling card, too.
Well, they're
For
like
all
the Spurs. They're giving up over 120 per. And they're not scoring enough right now to overcome that. Like I said, if the Nuggets want to give up 120, okay, I won't like it. But damn, score 127. Put a $127 on them if you're going to do that.
Again, 303-504-0925.
It's interesting because in the NBA, like defense sells. Defense will tell you where you ranked, right? Defense will pretty much, if you've got a strong defense, you're going to be a good team. In the National Football League, that's not the case.
No. I mean,
It's not necessarily the case.
Generally it is. If you got a good defense in the NFL, then you typically have a pretty good team.
Which two teams with outstanding defenses have won a Super Bowl in the last 40 years? I got three.
Wait, with or without?
With
Denver,
Just-
Baltimore, Chicago.
Exactly. Just super stellar defenses. And I would argue, too, that Chicago's offense, the Bears'
Tampa.
offense.
Tampa. When they won it with...
When they won it with Brad Johnson.
exactly.
Wait, you talking about the Bears back in
85?
back, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said the last 20 years. That's why I
said 40 years.
Oh, 40 years. Sorry.
I threw 40 in there so I could include the Bears.
New
England,
too. New England had a
New
very
England
good defense.
always has a great defense.
okay, a little bit, but not as good. Now, I'm talking the Broncos defense that won Super Bowl 50 was historic. The Ravens defense was historic. Bears defense was historic. The Buccaneers defense was really good. Patriots have been really good. But it's more often that the
More often
offense.
than not, yes.
I mean, like
Think
by
about all the teams.
87% clip, the offense is going to be the thing that propels you to victory.
Last year's Rams team, the Rams, the greatest show on turf Rams team.
Yeah.
I mean, offense. Kansas City, they won it. Offense, right?
I mean, all your Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl offense. Just that's the thing that gets it done the most. So I mean, you can ride a defense to a lot of good stuff. But when it comes down to it, when it gets to the postseason, your offense better be able to produce and put points on the board. And the Broncos are averaging, 1.4 touchdowns per game offensively.
One of our texters suggests
sickening.
the Seahawks, the year they beat the Broncos, that defense.
Sure.
Yeah, but they also had Russ at quarterback. They also had Russ at quarterback, and they had beast mode, and they had good players still.
Nobody confused that offense with some great offense, though.
No, nothing.
They
over
were
the top.
known. They were known for their defense. Though.
Yeah.
They were known for their
I
defense.
mean, the Broncos back-to-back Super Bowl championships. The reason their defense looks so good, and I'm not going to take away from those defenses because they were good, but it's because the offense staked them to a 14-point lead and then kicked ass.
Yeah, but
and then let them go and pin their ears back.
I could do this the opposite way, though. I could tell you, give me a team that has an incredibly good offense and an absolutely dog vomit defense, and tell me how many of those win Super Bowls, because that's pretty rare too.
Yeah, I'm saying, put it this way: I'd rather have a vulnerable defense and an awesome offense, than vice versa.
Well, we tell at the end of this season, you're going to look back at the Broncos season and say what went wrong, and clearly it starts with the offense, right?
Yeah.
So we're at the halfway point.
No, it starts. It doesn't start with the offense.
Well, I mean, the
it starts
offense is
and
bad.
ends with the
Okay,
offense.
So if I told you what's the one thing you would like to see for the second half of the season, forget results. All right, obviously you want to see wins. Forget that. Forget wins and losses. What is the one thing you value most with the remaining 9 games? What do you want to see?
Score in the 20s. I'm not asking for 30 points in a game.
Offense.
Just score in
All
the
right,
20s.
So offense is your answer.
Yes.
That's it.
Has to be. Like, what's going to be so frustrating and so confusing at the end of this is that the Broncos are going to finish with a top 5 defense, and they weren't even going to be in the mix for a playoff spot this year. Like, that's what it's going to be. And you're just going to say, how is this even remotely possible that you aren't even close to it and weren't close the entire year? That's how bad the offense has been. Now,
Brett, it's historic. You are going to have potentially now, a historically great defense and a historically bad offense in the same room. And Vic, we had Matt and Tyler in here yesterday in our State of the Broncos, right? Our State of the Union for the Denver Broncos after the bye week. And they both said, if you don't think the defense is in that room, maybe there's not any angst openly yet. But he said, if you don't think that defense is in that room being PO'd about it, you're wrong. And I saw Justin Simmons come out just yesterday. Was it yesterday? Said, look, I don't care how good we've been. we've got to be great on defense. So he's trying to deflect a little bit. You know what, Justin? I get what you're saying. You're trying to be a good teammate, and maybe you're right. Maybe you have to be unbelievably great and hold a team to 10 points or less to win games. But I wouldn't put that on you, and you shouldn't put it on yourself. You shouldn't have to be. This offense should be able to crawl itself out of the gutter and put 20 points on the board with regularity.
Can I ask you guys something else, by the way? Because there seems to be a new trend within the sports world that is happening right in front of our eyes. And it didn't happen so much with the Broncos. I mean, they had some names, and it's that celebrities are trying to buy up professional sports teams now. So we saw this to a certain extent, like I said, with the Broncos, where Lewis Hamilton and Condoleezza Rice were jumping on board, right?
By the way, Condoleezza Rice, she tweeted about Maxie.
She did. I saw that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Did she really?
Yeah. She was a team, or she was a classmate, right?
She was a DU when he was a
gosh.
DU. Yeah.
That is so cool.
It's very nice of her.
So they have Condoleezza Rice, they have Lewis Hamilton, they have names. But now I'm seeing that Matthew McConaughey wants to join Jay-Z and Jeff Bezos to try and buy the Washington Commanders if Dan Snyder is actually selling them.
Okay.
And
he's got a piece of that Austin soccer team in the MLS.
Like Moj, I know he's not going to own the team outright, but it's being involved within the ownership.
Okay, you've got Bezos, who
can do it.
He makes Jay-Z look like Jay-Z should be living in a hut. Okay?
Jay-Z is a billionaire too.
Exactly, but okay.
But he can talk down to
And
him
then what's McConaughey?
money-wise.
All right. I'll throw you 20 grand
I think
and we
this
get
is
some
the
of this
secret.
team.
No, hang on. This
what
is the
it?
secret.
What?
The secret.
I need some help, please.
If you just got a little bit of charisma and you want to be part of an ownership group, it seems like they'll welcome you in almost immediately. Ryan Reynolds wants to buy the Ottawa Senators or be a part of a group that's buying it.
bread, though.
I want you to think about something and the price point of these NFL franchises. Right now, the Commanders, what are they saying?
5.65.
Okay. If you won,
That's a bill more.
Could go above 6.
That is a bill more than the most expensive team ever in North America just sold for.
I want you to think about this. The lotto just went for how much?
$2 billion.
$2 billion. If you won the lottery at $2 billion, you could not afford to buy an NFL team.
And that's let's say they take no taxes from it.
Because-
they just gave you $2 billion.
Well, I'm saying, I was going to preface it by saying they took half of it away, essentially.
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
you don't have the funds, the cash money, to be the principal owner of an NFL team.
Not in the NFL. Like, Moj, could you theoretically buy, like Ottawa, if you won that lottery, you could buy the Ottawa Senators, couldn't you?
Yeah, they're basically going for $665. I think is what the
So
price
you could do
tag
that.
is. But they don't have a downtown arena, so it might be a little bit less. I mean, it's less than it could be because their rink is way out there.
Yeah.
You could do that even after the taxes. You could do that. Have a couple $100 million left over, I guess.
Who is I guess I could look this up, but off the top of your head, who do you think is the highest, if they were to go for sale in the NHL, who's the highest team?
New York Rangers, probably, yeah.
And they'd go for
Or the Montreal or Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
I mean, the Maple
Okay.
Leafs would be. I mean, both
what, they
markets
go
are
for like
unreal.
1.5-ish, you think?
More than that, I think.
Well, just look up.
Yeah,
Look it
so
up.
go to Forbes. Look at the value of the New York Rangers right now.
Actually, I'm curious. I'd like to see where the Avalanche are ranked there.
Avs are well over $1 billion.
Yeah, I'm just curious. And of all the NHL teams,
Okay, so
I would say they're top 10.
This is 2021, so this is last year.
Okay.
But what they have is the Rangers are number 1. They value them at $2 billion last year.
Okay.
Then Toronto at 1.8.
Okay.
Montreal at 1.6. Chicago 1.4. Boston 1.3. Philly 1.2. Still scrolling. I'm just trying to find where the Avs
What
are.
do all those have in common except the two? Except Montreal. Montreal. I don't know how big a town Montreal is.
No, but the hockey,
Edmonton
the
is number
revenue
7 at
unbelievable.
1.1.
Okay, yeah, that's hockey. It's the only game in town, and
Sure.
it's also the most insane thing for the fans. Yeah.
Where the hell are the Avs at? What is going on?
This is 2021, so it's before they even won the
Playoffs are
cup.
coming.
Okay,
They have the Avs at 22nd at a value of 630 last year.
not a chance. Not a chance now.
Maybe, yeah, after the Cup, probably not. But last year, they had them at 630, 22nd in the league.
Who's last? The Coyotes?
It would be, Arizona. They value them at $400 million last year.
They're playing in the high school arena right now or something like that. They're playing in, aren't they playing in the
University,
Arizona
Arizona
State's-
State, right? Arizona State, is that where the Coyotes are playing?
So dig this.
Oh, cool.
Let me read this. Ready?
Nice exchange.
Moj was too locked into the zone, yeah.
What I say?
I said, where does the Phoenix Coyotes play right now? Is it Arizona State's building?
They're playing that.
Yeah, correct. They played the little one. Okay, so blah, 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 blah. The average NHL franchise, this is 2022, this is Forbes, this is November 1.
Playoffs are coming.
Mm-hmm.
The average NHL franchise is worth $1.01 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Up 9% from a year. No, this is different. He had 2021. Mm-hmm. They have the Maple Leafs now first at $2.12 billion. 110 mil ahead of the Rangers.
Wait, where are the Avs, though? If they were at 22nd.
It's an article. I'm looking. I don't know. The average NBA team is currently at $2.5 billion.
So $1 billion more for an NBA team, more than $1 billion.
Correct.
That makes sense. The money,
television
and TV
contracts.
This also says the average NFL team is worth 4.1. Maybe like Jacksonville, yeah, or Houston or.
No, I'd buy that. I think if you take any team.
And the Broncos just went for 4.65, bro.
Do you understand what 4.65 is?
Why do you guys always look at me when you say that?
Because you don't know stuff.
Because you don't even know what insurance carrier you have for your auto insurance.
If it cost me $4.65 billion, I'd probably pay attention to it more.
Okay. All right, here we go. I got it.
Do you even know what you're paying? Do you know what your premiums are? Do you have any idea?
I believe you have the policy without premiums, right, Brett?
Yeah, I don't have any premiums on there.
You have no idea how much you pay for car insurance.
Yeah, they have the Avs. They actually,
Marty, do you know how much you paid for auto insurance?
Yeah, I do.
You know that number. Mark, do you know the number for auto insurance?
Yes.
Yeah, so do I. Because
I don't like it.
The only time I'll
You
find
don't
out.
know the number.
The only time I'll find out how much I pay is when I stop running after I hit somebody's car.
All right.
You think I've ever stopped for a fender bender? We both knew how to fix it.
This is rare.
Brett
makes a terrible joke.
To be honest with you, I would laugh if I wasn't so sad about your situation where you just don't know.
Mm-hmm. The Broncos just announced, tell me what you guys think about this. They just announced via Twitter that they're going to wear the same color combination for the Tennessee game. And I'm going to react the same way I reacted the first time. So?
Hey, it worked last week. Why not try it again? Who cares?
Is this where we're at now? Are these the straws we're grasping at? I mean, listen, kudos to them. I would do the same thing for superstition's sake. But if they wore straw hats for a game and won,
That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool.
Suspenders?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll make the Broncos a deal. You wear your same threads. Okay, look good. White tops, blue bottoms. All right, cool. You do that. But if Derrick Henry puts 2 1/4 on you for 3 touches, you never pull them out again, ever.
Yeah.
How about that? How about that?
Did you see
Would
those?
you like to eat that? You want to eat it? Eat it.
Did you see those pants the Flyers were wearing last night for warm-ups?
Cooperalls. Yeah.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah. Actually, the Flyers, the reason they did that is because they actually wore those for a season at one point.
I think those are cool.
They're super cool.
Why did they wear it for the whole game?
Because it's not NHL regulation. But the problem with Cooperalls was when guys would get on the ice and slide, they'd slide. They're out of the picture. Like those Cooperalls along the ice were like, pew, gone.
That's when they first had those turf fields that they were putting in. So there was one high school when I was playing still that put the turf fields in for baseball. So there was like no dirt anymore. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking at like
wait. Even around the bases, no dirt?
No.
Why?
Because it was just easier for the school
Easier
to maintain. And so you're like, well, how do I slide? And we all, during warm-ups, are like, we got to at least test this. Slid, and this is when they had the rubber pellets in there still. Like, the amount of people that slid past the base and were tagged out because it's just like, this is where I normally slide, and you just fly over the top. It was crazy.
You know what I used to hate the most about baseball practice? When coaches made you do sliding drills. Like, dude, I don't feel like getting all dirty. Just, can we chill?
I
honestly
honestly
sliding
Sauce.
can't remember when we did sliding drills.
You never did that in youth hockey?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
maybe
love
when I was
sliding
like
drills.
7 or 8, but
No, we did it all the way through. I love
You
sliding
never,
drills.
you never like did that whole. Hey, let's slide in a second. Everybody get in line.
Don't you remember when you were a kid, when you first went from like rubber cleats to spikes? Have you? I mean, the kids, there were broken ankles all over the place because kids did not know how to slide in spikes. So when you
Never
do
had sliding practice.
Vic just showed us how he bunted, and I don't take anything
watching
seriously
Vic
with him.
throw down, like square around for a bunt, made me think this. I mean, what, 7? Was that the last time that you played?
Funny story here. 1987, running track for the great HF. My buddy Brett shows up for a track meet. They said, bring your spikes. He showed up with a pair of spot-built football cleats. He wore spot-built football cleats.
Texter says some guy in a beat-up dented Ford with a lion sticker hit and run me yesterday. Yeah, sorry about that. Quick break. You're back in 3 minutes. Thank you. I'm always nervous when something like this is said, but Marty, Mosier hit me with I got something for you coming back, so let's see.
All right, question. I'm not asking how you voted. I'm not asking your opinion. Did the magic mushrooms thing pass yesterday? Do we know?
The what?
I think it did. I don't
I
know if
think
all
it did.
the votes are tallied yet.
I was more worried about the bingo thing.
Hold on a second. You can do shrooms in Colorado
I
now?
literally did not understand that bingo thing. by
I
the
didn't
way.
get it either. I said I saw bingo. I said I like.
I didn't
bingo.
have a bingo thing. I live in Douglas County. I don't have a bingo. I didn't get bingo on mine. But anyway, the
You don't
point
play
is,
bingo there?
I played bingo at the
Bazaar.
Italian Fest. Yeah, it was
In
great.
your retirement community over there?
Okay. You know what? Shut your stupid face. But here's what's amazing. So Colorado, you can eat shrooms now, right? Or do the Aaron Rodgers drink or whatever, right? Is that real, Marty?
Yes.
Okay.
I was eating portobellos before they were cool.
Okay. You can hammer weed. You can do all that stuff. And you can sports bet.
Mm-hmm.
You realize California, they just shut down sports betting
Yeah,
yesterday?
I saw that. That was odd.
Did you see it? California, where you can shoot up in the streets.
I don't think that's legal, but
Have you been to San Francisco?
I've seen it. I've
have you
seen
been to-
it. I've seen it.
Have you been to San Francisco?
I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen
You've
it
seen
too.
it. I've seen it.
Okay, you seen it. Does anybody do anything about it?
Not
Then
from
you
what
can.
I've
Then
seen.
you, then you can do it. You can heroin out on the street corner all you want. They said no. We don't. And not only did it lose, it lost overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
Can
to
you
the
money
voters.
launder in California?
I have no idea. Probably.
It is
I mean,
such
if you
a
can-
weird thing that we're
if you can
drawing
go-
a line there.
Well, that's the decaying of society in their eyes.
Sports gambling?
Yeah. You got a needle for me?
Here's the thing. I don't know how anybody can do that. And then when they have a Super Bowl party, it's like, all right, guys, $20 all into this hat. And then we all choose some sort of, you know what I mean? They'll do prop bets at these parties. It's no different. Anyway, yeah, that's weird.
You know
it's
what?
really
though?
weird.
We should never talk about stuff like this because we don't know what we're talking about. Like the texters always have to set us
I
straight.
know everything about this, Vic.
Okay, I don't want to talk about shrooms. It doesn't matter either way. All right?
Let's stick with things that we know, like
Sports betting.
Family Feud.
Okay, sports betting though.
Wait, was it on the docket that I couldn't get mushrooms on my burger anymore? Is that what we were voting on?
And honest to God, I'm trying to read these ballots to my parents. I'm trying to help them out with the voting. And I got to the bingo one, and I saw bingo, and I said, yeah. And I read the paragraph.
Dude, bingo's fun, by the way.
But-
you don't have to be 80 to play bingo.
But if you read the paragraph, if you read the bingo paragraph, at the end of the paragraph, you're like, so do they want me to play bingo?
I was confused by it too. But can I
What do they
address
want me
something
to
that
do with
Mosier
bingo?
just said? You don't have to be old to play bingo. You're right. You don't have to.
Let me tell you something,
Let's
Jack.
take a quick stock
all right,
here of the
all right,
bingo
time
playing
out, time out.
community, and
Let me
let's
tell
just
you.
see what the age cutoff is.
Let me tell you something. I went to the Italian Bazaar this year.
We care.
Let me tell you.
We care.
Let me tell you something. I
We care.
I went to the Italian Bazaar.
He called bingo.
I called bingo and I played bingo. Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
It was full of kids and young people and everything else. I had a coldie in one hand,
That's right.
an Italian sausage sandwich in the other
That's
hand,
right. Mm-hmm.
and I'm playing bingo and laughing with
That's
Vic and
how
my
we
family
do.
and friends.
There's a redemptive
And let me tell you
quality.
something. I enjoyed it. So if you want to put down my enjoyment,
I'll tell you what, Moj.
then you can eat it because I enjoyed playing bingo, and I don't mind saying it. First time I'd done it in years.
So the Avs play again tomorrow, and then Friday you'll have the night off. Yes. You want to go out with me and get a few beers, play some bingo on Friday night?
No, I'm going to a concert.
Why?
Well, I mean, once a year at the Bazaar sounds really fun, but I'm not going to make it a Friday night thing.
That's what I was just kind of saying, though.
Okay, just saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of those, Vic. I didn't know what the bingo thing was for. I didn't get it.
Did it say no bingo is allowed
I don't
ever
know.
from now until the end of time?
I'm too dumb to read those. The reading comprehension of those paragraphs, it's too much for me. Hey, I wanted to get back to the Nuggets defense. Remember you asked me, you said, what should they focus on? And I said defense, and you said they've been better of late. Well, you're exactly right. Listen to these numbers. Dan Hyatt is our numbers guy. First 7 games of the season, the Nuggets defense was awful. Just awful, okay? 124 points a game. I'm sorry, that's the first 4 games. 124 points a game, dead last.
Yeah.
Last 6 games, they're 5-1 in those 6. They're giving up 106, top 5.
There you go.
So I was saying, in the last 6, they've played a lot better
Top
defense.
5.
And so
I mean, it's not just a suggestion. It's an absolute
It's a
distinct
must.
correlation.
It's a must.
Yep. You play defense, you win. End of story.
And again, I think that they feed off one another. The offense feeds off because look, when you play good defense, Vic, what does this team do really well? When they get in transition, they score. I don't know where they are as far as transition points per game in the league, but they got to be at least minimum top 10 because they get in transition, it's a bucket almost every single time. And that all leads the defense feeding offense thing. I mean, that's real, especially with this team. So you can hear that game right here, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5, pregame at 4:30. So we got
Vic, I'm not taking anything for granted anymore. Okay,
I'm glad.
don't.
You've matured.
Thank you. A 5.5 point favor. I mean, the Nuggets are favorites here. I was again looking at the schedule, and I may have overestimated it earlier. I may have misspoke, and I'll eat my words if I do. They won't be favorites at Boston on Friday. They will be favorites at Chicago on Sunday. They'll be favorites at home against the Knicks. Dallas, 2 games in a row on the road. That might be pick 'em on both of those.
Have you seen what Luka has been doing so far this year?
I know.
Is he averaging 36 a game? Is that what I saw?
He's
Dude,
insane.
he's your MVP right now.
100%.
10 games in.
But home against Detroit, favored. At OKC, favored. At LA Clippers, probably favored. 2 at home against Houston, favored.
What does this matter? Who
I'm
cares
just saying.
where you're
What
favored
I'm
or
saying
not?
is, you're telling me, be careful, Moj. Yet they'll go into the vast majority of these games as the betting favorite.
Yeah. So what's your point?
So then play it. Then play like
Okay,
if you're the better team, then play like it. Don't disappoint
have
me.
been.
they have
7-3.
I'm talking about being different than. Don't let when you're a 12.5 point favorite, let the Sacramento Kings come in here and smoke you. That's why it's got to be a different Nuggets team this year overall.
Well, so far, so good.
I understand
They're
that. I'm
3-0 at home.
Okay.
Or is it 4-0 at home? What are they at home? 4-0?
Hashtag Nug Life, Vic. I'm just trying to set a precedent here that this team's different than other teams.
Yeah.
They're 3-3 on the road. So yeah, they're 4-0 at home.
And remember, last year something happened that's never happened in the history of Nuggets basketball. Ever. In the history of Nuggets basketball, last
they
year
had a better road record.
They had a better road record than a home record. Think about that for a second.
That's got to be a fluke.
That was beyond an aberration. That was crazy. Now, hold on to that home or hold on to that road record. Take that into this year, but win at home. If there's one thing you have to do in Denver is win at home. It's your home.
Got to win at home.
You've said the numbers of guys like Bones, how much better Bones is at home than
his
he is
home
on
road
the road.
splits.
And that's kind of, we brought this up earlier. The roster has 7 guys right now that are averaging 10 points a game.
That's impressive.
7. And I think that's the only team in the NBA that does that. There's a couple that have 6, but I don't think anybody has 7 outside of the Nuggets. And that's the depth. And I said this all of last year when it came to the Avs, and a huge advantage I thought they had was, look, when you could throw your 3rd and 4th lines out there and they're better than the other teams in almost every single instance, that's where you make up ground a lot, where you don't have to rely on guys like McKinnon or Mikko or Kale to always carry you every single night. Well, the same thing can be applied to the Nuggets where, you know what, sometimes Jokic is just going to have an off night. Maybe his wrist hurts. Maybe Porter's threes aren't falling. Yeah. Well, Bruce Brown, you can knock down a couple of threes. Bones, you can do it. Share the load.
I got something else for you. Nikola Jokic has the most triple-doubles of any center who's ever played the game, correct?
Correct.
He has had a triple-double against every team in the NBA except 2. Name those teams.
Indiana Pacers.
Yep. Tonight's team is 1.
Boston Celtics.
No.
New York Knicks.
Eastern team. No.
Chicago Bulls.
Eastern team.
Give me a chance, Mo. Stop rattling off teams. I'm trying to think
Indiana's
here.
1.
Milwaukee
Next
Bucks.
question.
No.
Toronto?
Raptors.
It wasn't Toronto?
No.
Miami.
No.
Orlando.
Keep going.
Memphis.
No.
Oh, actually, Memphis. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
East Coast team.
Detroit.
No, I said
Washington.
East Coast team.
Oh, New York.
I thought you
Nets.
meant
New
Eastern
Jersey.
Conference.
New York Nets.
No.
Philly.
Washington.
East Coast team.
Jesus.
Utah.
He threw Memphis at me.
Well, I mean Eastern Conference, and then that was wrong anyway.
Yeah. Oh, we got to go. I thought there was music that was going to play us out. Never mind. You guys have a wonderful day. We love you. Bye.
What up, Denver? Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Alex Ryan Emmy alongside the namesake of the program, Christopher Dempsey. This is Dempsey and Company, high above Colorado Boulevard at the Bud Light Studios. We've got a great show for you guys on tap. Katie Wingy is going to join us at 11:20 to preview Nuggets and Indiana Pacers. I would say tonight, but well, this afternoon. It's a 4:30 pregame right here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5, a 5 p.m. tip. We're going to preview the second half of the NFL season, not only for the Broncos, but for the league as a whole. We will give you our mid-season NFL awards, our pretenders and contenders moving into the second half, as well as the Broncos prepare to take on the Tennessee Titans out there in Nashville on Sunday afternoon. But Demps, let's start off with these Nuggets here, right? Early tip today. They get to see Indiana, or first of their final 3 games of this road trip. They're 6-point favorites on the road today. This is the type of schedule where if you can get a win here against the Pacers, get your 4th in a row, you've got some momentum, some good things happening prior to playing against 2 big teams in Boston and Chicago before you take things back here to the Mile High City.
Yeah, that's true. This is an interesting road trip for the Nuggets. I think, because you have a team like 2 teams, the Indiana Pacers and the Chicago Bulls they're good teams, not great teams. And then you have the Boston Celtics, who were just in the NBA Finals and look every bit as powerful as they did last year here early this season. But also, these are teams that I think are good tests in starting tonight against the Indiana Pacers. I don't believe in it's a game that you just bring your A game, bring your A effort, because if you don't do that, then what the Pacers have shown you early this season, even though they got off, the first few games are real rough for them. They're starting to get it figured out as to who they are and how they operate. And they were able to take down the New Orleans Pelicans the other day, and I have great respect for what New Orleans puts on the basketball court talent-wise here in the Western Conference. So it'll be an interesting game for the Nuggets here tonight. It's you got to get out to the three-point line. You got to limit the turnover. The turnovers against the San Antonio Spurs, look, they were able to take advantage of a lot of those. Indiana will do a lot better job of taking advantage of those, and they'll hit threes, which is one thing San Antonio, they didn't do to a very high degree. So these are the games that when you start to say we are an upper echelon team in the NBA, you go on the road and you beat the Indiana Pacers. And knowing, though, that it might not be easy to do so. I'm very interested to see how the Nuggets respond, how they grow defensively, those things, because offensively they're one of the best teams in the NBA.
7-3 right now, 4th in the conference. They have a chance to continue to climb that ladder. We haven't seen the Nuggets go over the 50 win mark since, 2018 when they had 54 wins. This is a team that feels like they should be there. The over-under at the beginning of the season was set at 51.5, assuming that this roster stays completely healthy. Dan Tanner, our producer, was asking us earlier on when we were prepping today, just kind of off the cuff, what is a successful regular season for the Nuggets? I think a successful season overall for this team is, I don't want to say just Western Conference Final, because I feel like this roster in the West has enough to win and compete at that level to get to an NBA Finals appearance. I would say a Western Conference Final where you're going 6 or 7 games against a Western heavyweight, and let's just throw it out and say the Golden State Warriors would be a successful season for me as a whole. As a regular season, I feel like you have to hit that 50 win mark if everyone stays healthy. If not, something's gone wrong, right? Like either MPJ has gone cold or Jamal hasn't found his defensive consistency yet. The second unit hasn't found a way to score at a consistent level, or Bones Highland is turning into he can be a Jekyll and Hyde, right? You don't want him to become the bad version of what Bill or Will Barton was here for many years, right? Will was great. He could buoy that second unit and score at will, but when he he got on those rolls and he started forcing shots and kind of playing ISO basketball, that's where fans got really upset with him. Maybe that's what goes wrong. The Nuggets don't hit 50.
Yeah, I think 50 plus victories in the regular season, I think, is reasonable to expect.
Is that an
this.
expectation?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to expect
like
that. Yeah. And then, look, fans, you can tell me if I'm being a little too nice or not. I think for me, it's a successful season even if you get to the second round of the playoffs and you lose in 6 or 7. Everything above that, to me, this season, given the returns, the return to action of Jamal Murray and to MPJ, and what does that look like over the course of the season? Did they grow into their former selves? Prior to, especially Jamal, prior to the injury, or did they kind of level off? And now we're going to wait for that second season to take the next jump to where they were prior to that. I think Western Conference Finals would be amazing. I think NBA Finals. I mean, Josh Kroenke said it was championship or bust. I don't know that I would go that far with this basketball team and with this Western Conference. I mean, when you look, if I don't expect that the Utah Jazz will keep this up the entire season.
They won't. They'll come back to the mean.
But okay, here's the question: what's the mean? What is their mean? Because
their mean should be anywhere between 7 and 10 in this conference.
I would have agreed with that.
I thought they were going to be well out of the Western Conference playoff picture. I thought they were going to be down there with like Sacramento and Houston. That's where I expected them to be this year. But what they've shown me thus far, 7-10. You're in those play-in rounds. They're not going to hold it up and be a top 6 seed this year. It's too early, right? It's too early for them.
It is too.
You could also say it's too early to make the judgment on either side of the coin.
Yeah, no, it's super early. They are just off to a great start, and it's not. It's built on actually solid stuff that's repeatable. Yeah, when teams do unexpected things at the beginning of seasons, the first question I ask myself is, well, a couple of them. One, what's making them successful? Two, is it sustainable? And for the Utah Jazz, all they're really doing is spreading the court. They're playing 5-out offense. They're making a bunch of threes. They're playing really solid defense, and they're hitting teams up in transition. Is that sustainable? Yeah, it's
in
sustainable.
This version of the NBA, yes.
It is. Now, look, I don't know what the team 3-point percentage is right now. I can look that up here in 2 seconds and see what that is. If it's really high, and I'm saying if you're shooting 45% or higher, as probably more like 42, 43, 44% as a team right now, then I'm gonna guess that you're gonna come back down under 40% as a team. And I don't know if that's what they're doing, then that will come back down. But outside of that, look, they're winning all their home games. They're undefeated at home. They are 4-3 on the road. I think that's sustainable. We'll see.
Utah's shooting 37.2% right now.
Look at that. That's sustainable.
That is sustainable. You know what might not be? The number one team in the NBA right now in terms of 3-point percentage.
They are?
That's the Denver Nuggets.
Oh, well, yeah.
41.9%.
41.9, yeah.
And that's buoyed a lot by Michael Porter Jr. nearly shooting half from beyond the arc. That's a guy who I really like him in terms of bets tonight. So I don't love the 6-point favorite on the road against Indianapolis. I'm going to do that constantly.
I do it all the time.
Against Indiana. Yep. I don't love 6 points. I would buy that down to like 4.5 and be a little bit comfortable with it, but I don't know if I like where those odds would be. I don't think it has enough payout. I love Michael Porter Jr. tonight, not from 3-point, but from rebounds. Over 7.5 rebounds tonight. He's ham and egged over or under that number in the previous 5 games, and he's on pace to ham it this time and eat. I think he's going to have a really good rebounding game tonight. I think he's going to play a little bit more with the first unit than we did see him the last time out on the court. he's the reason why this team is so hot from three, and continue feeding that guy.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. It's funny because last year was the year that they put all the emphasis on shooting 43s a game, and what that might do for their offense. And then we heard none of that this year, right? Coming into the season, not in preseason, not in training camp, none of that stuff. And now, just organically, they're number one in the NBA in 3-point percentage. They're also number one in the NBA in overall field goal percentage, but they're usually in that top 3 to 5 in that category year after year anyway. So it's just an offense that's awesome. But when you look at this Western Conference, I mean, the Portland Trailblazers are 7-3. Nobody had them playing to this level, certainly not this quickly this season. And so it's just a minefield in the Western Conference. When the Golden State Warriors are 12th and they are your NBA champions, then that's all you need to know about the Western Conference right now. I mean, there's just a lot of good teams. And so I think ultimately when you talk about expectation level, what's a successful season for the Nuggets? Again, I'm like, look, the fans can text in on the Champ Mazda text line at 303-504-0925. Am I being too nice by just saying, hey, look, the second round, don't get swept or beaten, or
Don't
beaten
get
down
swept.
in the second round.
Well, what are we talking about?
But I'm just saying, if you lose in the second round, make sure that it's 7 games.
That's a lot to unpack. I want to put a pin in this. We'll get back to it later on in the program. We have a bunch to get to. College football playoff rankings number 2 come out. Tennessee drops from 1 to 5. We have a new number 1, the defending national title. Georgia Bulldogs are now number 1 in the country. Number 2, OSU. 3, Michigan. And 4, the undefeated Horned Frogs out of Texas
I hope
Christian.
it stays that way.
I do too. We'll get into that. We'll get into a little bit of MLB hot stove action. We've been hearing a lot around town. Aaron Judge, could he look really good in purple pinstripes? He'll never come here, but the guy could hit 70 home runs here at a mile high. We'll get into that, NFL awards, NHL, NBA, and more. It's Dempsey and Company on Altitude Sports Radio. Alex Ryan-Emmy alongside Chris Dempsey on Dempsey and Company, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. If you want to join the program, please do so today, 303-504-0925 on the Shop Mazda text line. You can also use that number to call us here in studio if you have any takes. As always, watch the program, twitch.tv/AltitudeSR. Before we get into Broncos expectations for the second half, breaking news out of the NBA, Chris Dempsey.
Well, this is interesting. I was gonna call them New Jersey, and I didn't. The Brooklyn Nets, who were reportedly going to hire Ime Udoka as their new head coach, instead are going to hire Jacques Vaughn as their new head coach to replace Steve Nash. Jacques Vaughn has been the interim coach since Steve Nash was fired. Won a couple games, lost a couple of games. So the interesting story here, Raj, is what on earth happened with the Udoka signing? And I wonder if there was a little bit of brushback once it, sometimes you leak these things out. I talked about Scott Hastings about this a lot. And he swears that sometimes things are leaked out just to see how that might land in the area which would be most affected by it.
In the public eye or within the organization?
In the public eye, yeah. So you leak out there that this is a coach that we would want to hire, and then you just see what the public reaction is to that. And I think there was more indifference more than anything else, but there was a kind of a faction of, okay, so the Boston Celtics thought he did something that rose to the level of suspending him for a year, and now it doesn't matter anymore. And I wonder how much of that was significantly present in that area that might have changed their minds, or maybe if they got him in the room. I don't know. It
didn't seem like public perception of what Udoka had going on within the Celtics organization. And the last I heard of it, it was a consensual relationship with a coworker that just was deemed unnecessary and against corporate guidelines out there with the Celtics. That's what I know for now.
Yeah, and well, then it turned. It took a bad turn, and there was, there were allegations of, how he treated her changed and got into a bad space, and so now it's so there's more to the story there, which is what the Celtics were, I would say, probably most concerned about, and the reason why they levied the punishment on him that they did. But the Nets didn't seem to care, and when it was reported that Steve Nash was fired, it was almost immediately reported afterwards that he was going to be the choice to replace Steve Nash, and it just never came together. If you. We don't care that much around here, but it was a story that I know from time to time I thought, have they hired that guy yet? Because I haven't seen anything official, and now you have this Jacques Vaughn. So clearly something with the Udoka thing fell completely apart, and now Jacques Vaughn's going to be the head coach. And I think there's a lot of people out there who thought Jacques Vaughn should have been a head coach by now. He's been interim coach on a couple of occasions and has proven that he has the chops to do this job. So we're going to find out, because this is a doozy of a dramatic situation.
It's not like you're walking in to go coach the Sacramento Kings, and you got a bunch of kids and you got time, and you don't have to worry about being in one of the biggest media markets in the world in New York City. I know it's Brooklyn, but it's still New York City. Not only do you have that pressure, but you have guys like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and the failed past seasons and experiments that the Nets have gone through, right? And it's been almost 10 years of failed experiments trying to put together a big team, and the Nets simply not getting there. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm less surprised that this is the coaching hire now that I have a little bit more insight as to what happened in Boston. I stopped paying attention to it for a little bit because it's the Celtics, and who really gives a damn?
Celtics, yeah.
As we move into Week 10 in the NFL, Broncos at 3-5. They will head to the Tennessee Titans this week, 5-3, leading the AFC South, the woeful AFC South. Broncos will be donning their white jerseys and blue pants combo that they had a couple of weeks ago in London.
Is going to lose his mind.
Chez is going to lose his mind. But listen, those are undefeated. They are 1-0 in the history of the franchise.
I think Dan
in
Tanner
that
might
combo.
lose his mind too. He hates look at the face right there.
Right, they They just look like crap. But listen, to each their own.
I almost hope they lose so that they can take away that mantra of like, well, we're 1-0, so we got to keep wearing them.
I'm not a superstition guy. I am you go by the book just to hit, like, you hit your goals every single day, and you go by schedule. That's what you do in sports. It's not, there's no such thing as like, oh yeah, I put my left sock on before my right and that makes me play better. No, you put your left sock on because that's your habit. That is your schedule to get ready to play in a game. Not because you think it's magically going to turn you in to Peyton Manning. That's not, they don't exist. Superstitions are crap. I can't stand when people lose their, like, I've been coaching now for almost 10 years, and I've got kids who are like, no, I have to be the last guy on the ice. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're not going to turn into Wayne Gretzky or Nathan McKinnon if you're the last guy on the ice.
You didn't have any when you played?
No, I not superstitions, but I had my schedule. I put all my left stuff on before my right just because that's how I went about my business.
What if you just started losing a bunch of games? Would you have switched that?
No, probably not.
No?
Because that's not the reason. The reason why we lost a bunch of games is probably because I took 7 penalties and our team got scored on 4 times.
I think
that's the reason why.
Immediately change it. And if the Broncos never lose in white and blue pants, should they just wear them?
If it becomes part of the schedule, part of the routine, go ahead.
Yeah, well, if it's a part of the winning routine, do it.
And someone here, Anne Marie says, please tell Sidney Crosby he's wrong for his superstitions. Sidney Crosby doesn't have superstitions. His pregame warm-up is the same exact thing because that's his routine. He gets on the ice, he stick handles, he stretches at neutral zone. He doesn't do that because he thinks it makes him a better player. He does it to get ready for the game. Magic doesn't exist. There aren't wizards that come up with the outcomes of hockey games and basketball games and football games. It's just schedule and routine. Get out of here with your superstitions.
I might put these headphones on differently tomorrow.
Maybe it'll make us do a better program. Who the hell knows? Speaking about the Broncos, second half expectations, right? 3-5. It has gone as poorly as we could have imagined, especially with how high the expectations were going into this season, trading for Russell Wilson, thinking that you're a quarterback away, and everything has blown up. It's been a dumpster fire offensively, 15.1 points on average. I look at the second half of the season with far greater optimism than you do. We got into that a little bit yesterday.
Yep.
As bad as the offense has been, all I've said, and I know asking for 6 or 7 more points a game feels like a far cry from where we are right now, but a single touchdown per game in your losses in the previous 8 games would have changed your record from 3-5 to, at worst, 6-1-1. That's all I have to say about going into the second half. If you add a single touchdown in not even a touchdown, a field goal in the Indianapolis game that you lose at home in overtime. If you don't fumble on the 1 yard line twice, right, with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, you win that game. If you find a way to score a single touchdown in any one of your 5 losses outside of the Las Vegas Raiders loss, you are 6-1-1 at worst. Tell me how I'm crazy for asking for 1 more touchdown when you've been so close and your red zone has been terrible. Your clock management has been terrible. Your choices to either go for it or not go for it on 4th and short, or kick 64-yard field goals and then not kick 59-yard field goals right after it have been bad. It doesn't feel like so much to ask.
It's not. Actually, I actually think you're right. It's not too much to ask for, except for we haven't seen it. Wait, we haven't seen it. And I don't know. Look, I guess you could say to whatever degree we saw something resembling what you're asking for against the Jacksonville Jaguars when they went and beat them. But by and large, you are 3-5 because we haven't seen what you're merely asking for, which is so simple. It's so simple. It's just average. Basically, what do they have? 15 points per game? So just average 21.
It's not asking a lot.
It's not. But I don't know that they can do that. I just don't know. And in the second half of your season,
21 points would put you in between the Jets and the Chicago Bears at 20 or 21 in the league. Right? That's not even halfway up the ladder.
And the Jets have ridden that to a really good record.
Yes.
Right?
Because they've scored touchdowns at opportune times. They've ridden a really good defense, that should be the recipe for success for the Broncos in the second half.
Yeah.
Everything has gone poorly in the first 8 games of the season. It's just one change. And I see the text messages here. I understand the 318 says, please stop with that. The opposing team would have changed their outcome had we changed ours. I understand that there's two sides of this coin here. I'm not worried about the opposition right now. I'm worried about what Nathaniel Hackett, Russell Wilson, and company are putting out onto the field. What I'm trying to tell you is that even as terrible, as awful, abysmal as 3-5 has looked thus far, it's not that far away from 6-1-1 is crazy, but it's not that far away from 6-2, 5-3. It's really not. Going from last to 21st is not that big of a jump.
And yet here we are. And at what point in a season do you look at a team and go, okay, well, you just are who your record says you are? And the Broncos are 3-5. It's a football team that has only shown us hints over the course of 8 weeks of games, hints of what they can do on offense. And those hints are pretty good. Those hints will lead you, Raj, to believe that if they can just put this together, they can do something fairly significant in the second half of this schedule. Well, I'm with you on there, but they've never shown us. And until they show us multiple weeks in a row, I won't be on that bandwagon at all, because what I have seen in nearly 3 decades of covering sports is that by and large, these teams just don't change personality in the middle of a season. And if you're struggling, you might struggle a little bit less, but it's not going to mean anything significant to the bottom lines of wins and losses. You're not making the playoffs because you're not a good football team. And that's it. And with the Broncos, it's too bad because I think there's a lot of really good talent. The defense obviously is one of the top 5 defenses in the entire NFL. But that doesn't matter because you can't score points. And until you score points, then what are we really doing here? What are we really talking about here? And since they've never shown it to us, I can't, at this point, halfway through a season, early on, if we're talking about after week 2 or 3, yeah, I was right where you were. And I thought, it's cool, man. It's fine. They'll be fine. But they're not fine. And they haven't shown us that they are fine. And they have 2 weeks to get it together before, or 3. Let's see, we have the Tennessee Titans here. Okay. I mean, defensively, they can get after you. They got after Patrick Mahomes. So can you make some inroads offensively against a pretty good defense in the Tennessee Titans? Because if you do, and you're able to cobble together a victory in that game, then you have the Raiders and the Panthers. And if you can get through those, then you should get through those two, because everybody beats the Raiders. Oh, except for you. You didn't beat the Raiders, now did you? So, I mean, the Broncos have a lot of showing us to do. There's no more. The time for we hear a lot of optimism coming out of Dove Valley. Hey, I think we found things. We were working hard, and I can appreciate all those things. Keep the positivity. I can appreciate that. But now we're in show me what you got, not what you can say period of time. And you got 3 weeks to make we're
in get Swifty mode. Show me what you got. Show me what you got.
Show me what you got. And you got 3 weeks to do that. Because after those 3 weeks, it's Ravens, Chiefs, Cardinals, Rams, Chiefs, Chargers.
Maybe the reason why you didn't beat the Raiders is because they didn't have a huge lead going into the second half against you. Maybe that's the reason why you couldn't find a way to beat McDaniels, because it was tied. It was either tied at 16 or no, they were down by 3 because the Raiders had hit a field goal at the end of the first half as time expired. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't have a big lead. It wasn't a 17-point deficit. You would have won that game had it been a 17-point deficit.
But it's like you should beat the Raiders because everybody's beating the Raiders.
And John Opp has a good point here. They're also a few scores away from being winless. You are. You're 100% right. I understand that there's two separate sides here. There's still a little bit of offensive talent. Sure, who knows what Jerry Jeudy can really become. I've been a little bit more excited about him. I still don't think he has the compete to be a true number one in this league just yet. Maybe he unlocks it here pretty soon. Big news coming out of college basketball. This one from Henry Chisholm at DNVR. Yeah. Cody Williams just announced that he's attending CU Boulder next year. He's the first 5-star commit in Buffs Hoops history. ESPN ranks him as the 14th best player in the 2023 class and the 3rd overall small forward. His big brother Jalen Williams, currently playing for the Oklahoma City Thunder, spent 3 years at Santa Clara and was a lottery pick by the Thunder in last year's draft. That is...
Well, I'm glad you said that because
wow.
I didn't know whether people wanted to hear that. I knew this was happening, and I'll say this: he can't possibly be the first one because Chauncey Billups went to CU and he was a 5-star recruit. But this is enormous news for the University of Colorado basketball team. Like they've been, I would say this about the recruiting, especially in the last couple of recruiting classes. They have gotten better and better and better, and I believe this one that's coming in next year is a top 25 class overall. But to get the 14th best player in America, well, now you're playing in that's the territory that the
you want to hear the stories?
And the Dukes and that's
Kentucky, Michigan State, Duke, Kentucky, Duke, Kentucky, Iowa State, Texas, Oregon, Duke, Oregon. Yeah. Those are the only other teams. I just named off 10 players. There's a few uncommitted players, most notably DJ Wagner out of Camden, the number one player in the country right now. I just listed off 10 players, and those are the schools that they are committed to. You're now up there with some of the biggest blue bloods in the country. In terms of 2023, I know it takes a long time to be up there consistently. Mm-hmm. That's a big win.
Yeah, it's a huge win. And look, it's basketball, so one player can walk right on campus and take your team from one level to the next. It's the way it works in that sport. And for CU, which I think is, like I said, I think they have done a good job of accumulating talent here over the years under Tad Boyle. You see a lot of them in the NBA right now, and but to get one like this is it's a big deal. And congratulations to Tad and CU. And I know they're off to a good start here this season. And I would expect that team. Honestly, I expect this year's team to make the NCAA tournament. I think they're that good. But going forward, if you're able to continue to grab guys like this, even every now and then. It's a big time. Now, I'll also say this one last thing. If he is as good as he is projected to be, then he might be a one-and-done situation. So,
his brother played 3 years at Santa Clara and then was a lottery pick.
Yep.
Does that have anything to do? Maybe big brother's like, dude, spend a couple of years, get bigger, get stronger, hone in your deep shot.
The only variable here would be, how much money is he making on NIL? Because that might keep you in college maybe a year longer than you might otherwise, stay because the money in the NBA is so much larger. But, my gut feel says if he comes to campus and he's that good and he just balls out and Colorado's great and then he'll be a lottery pick the following year in the NBA and he'll say sayonara. But hey, it's better to have had him and lost him than to never had him at all, right?
I'm scrolling through this ESPN Top 100 for 2023, just trying to find a big orange S, and it doesn't exist. So that makes me sad. I'm going to take a break on top of it. Dempsey and Company, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
We have reached double digits in this NFL season. It's week 10. I'm Christopher Dempsey for FanDuel Sportsbook, and start week 10 off right with a no sweat same game parlay from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same game parlay doesn't hit. Same game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. Build your own same game parlay for this game, which is the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. Something like this: PJ Walker over passing yards, Kyle Pitts over receiving yards, DJ Moore anytime touchdown. Build your own or choose from one of the popular same game parlays pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sports app. However you want to play, you can bet on the NFL on Thursday night with a no sweat same game parlay. Just sign up with promo code Dempsey if you don't already have an account, and if you do, you're all set. Just sign in and see what you've got, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and present in Colorado, 3+ legs minimum, one bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $5. Restrictions apply. See full terms at fanduel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Alex Ryanemi. You guys know me better as Raj, joined as always by the namesake of the program, Chris Dempsey. It is Dempsey and Company on Altitude Sports Radio. We're going to hang out with you guys until noon, where we hand things off to Columbus, Hastings, and Dover, and then it'll be a very truncated version of Kreckman and Lindahl. They'll go from 3 to 4:30 because at 4:30, Mark Bertinoli will take over with your Nuggets pregame show as the Nuggets are in Indiana to take on the Pacers. A 5 p.m. early tip. The NBA was off yesterday for Election Day. No games on the slate. There will be 13 of them contested this evening. Again, the Nuggets, I'm excited about it. Nuggets they'll be done early, right? DT, are you doing it in the paint tonight or is it Dove?
Dover.
All right, Dover's doing it in the paint. He'll be done by 8:30. It's a great night for all involved.
Yeah, it's going to be a great week for that.
I enjoy those, and it's weird because it's Indiana, but I enjoy those like East Coast starts.
Yep.
Because you get rid of the midnight and the 1 a.m. finishes when you're done with post-game shows. That's where I love
Still
to
a
live.
reasonable hour.
I love to live there.
Yeah.
Talk about post-game shows, playoffs for the Avs, where they're in rounds 1 and 2.
Yeah.
If you go to overtime in any of those games, I'm not getting off air. It's like 2:30.
Yeah.
Brutal.
They really, the only drawback to being in a Western Conference is, especially in playoff scenarios, is like you get all of the late games and they go super late.
Well, because they can't start until the other ones finish, especially when on national TV. Yeah, because I'm broadcasting to crickets at that point. You're damn right. Play me a sad song. Throw some violin in there. I love my sleep. You don't want me to wake up with bags underneath my eyes. That doesn't work. I don't look as pretty.
We're going to check in with you, Dan, after you've done a couple of the post-game Nugget shows when they're on the West Coast somewhere.
I was on the air until 3 a.m. for when the Avs won the Stanley Cup. So, come on.
Basically, he's just calling us soft.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
Were
saying.
you on the post-game show with us?
No, Grismer and I did the post.
Oh, I forgot. We had a billion shows that night. I forgot that we had a post show. There was a time where we were doing those, and we're going to get into our NFL midseason awards here right now, but there was a time where Spring and I had been going on nearly 2 hours of a post-game show after the Avs raised the cup in Tampa Bay. And Steve Nelson's running the board, and he comes in my ear. He goes, "Dude, you got to get off the air. Like Grismer and Dan Tanner are just waiting here for you guys to shut the hell up." I looked at Spring. I was like, "Dude, we got to go. These guys are going to be on air until 4." All right, halfway through the NFL season, Demps here. Broncos again, 3-5. I still think that they can turn it around. I don't know if playoffs are there, but glasses are half full. I want to go into our halfway through NFL awards. Let's start with the biggest and shiniest one, most valuable player. Demps, kick us off.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to go to a space that nobody thinks I was going to go to for this, and it's going to be Tua Tagovailoa. Tua. Yeah, that's right. He missed a couple of games, obviously, with the concussion, so that's a thing. But in terms of passer rating, leads the league. Yards per attempt, leads the league. QBR, leads the league. This guy is putting together a season that is, by the end of it, if he continues down this road, you're talking about probably not leading the league in yards just because some quarterbacks aren't missing games, but being in the top 3 of that category. He's already had a game where he's thrown 6 touchdowns. He's got a comeback win over the Baltimore Ravens. He's leading one of the most powerful offenses in all of the NFL. I think my mid-season MVP is in a space there where I think nobody thought it was going to come from, but Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa.
Wow, I'm going to go with the chalk here. I love Josh Allen in Buffalo. It depends whether or not his UCL is going to be fine.
Josh Allen?
Yes, that Josh Allen, the guy that the Broncos, never drafted, even though he was in their backyard. Buffalo, 27.5 points per game. That's 3rd in the league behind Kansas City at 30.5 and Philadelphia at 28. I have loved what Josh Allen has been able to do, both with his legs and, again, the ability to extend plays that Josh Allen has is second only maybe to Patrick Mahomes. And this year you could argue it's even better than Mahomes has been this season. It looks like Patrick Mahomes of 2-3 years ago, where he's run around chucking balls 60, 70 yards down the field to a guy like Tyreek Hill, who I'll get to later. Allen's my guy. He's had 4 games over 115 in terms of his quarterback rating. I know he had a stinker in week 9 against the Jets, but if he comes back and is healthy and the Bills run away with the AFC East because of how hard it has gotten with the Jets and the Miami Dolphins breathing down their necks right now, he's my choice. So give me Josh Allen for MVP.
Okay.
Let's move on to one it's kind of in the same vein, Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And my caveat here, you cannot choose the same player that you did for MVP.
Okay, but I'm going to go back to the same team because why not?
Oh, you can't take it away from me.
I'm going to take him, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, he of 76 catches for 1,104 yards. He only has 3 touchdowns. I mean, if you're going to poke a hole in him right here, it would be touchdowns. He has 3 of them. But outside of that, yeah, exactly right.
Best touchdown celebration in the history of the game. Just penguin walking.
Whether it's a first down, a catch of 20 plus yards, which I believe he leads the NFL in those.
19 of those.
Yeah, it's he has been worth every single dime that the Dolphins paid for him to come on over and help Tua. So my offensive player of the year would be Tyreek Hill.
I could throw Patrick Mahomes into this mix as well because of what he's done in terms of his efficiency ratings with the Chiefs. He will continue to be good. The Chiefs are going to run away with the AFC West. It's not even going to be close because of what the rest of the division is doing, just mired in mediocrity and crap. He could throw up some big numbers within the division, probably not against the Broncos secondary with how well Patrick Surtain has been playing and that secondary for the Broncos coming back and being largely the only healthy piece of the roster as a whole right now here in Denver. I can't go anywhere but Tyreek, man. Tyreek Hill is on pace to break 2,000 yards, the first time that would ever have been done in NFL history. The closest was 1,964 yards by Megatron and Calvin Johnson. Cooper Kupp got really close last year.
Yep.
He's probably not going to win the receiving crown or triple crown like Kupp did last year because he's so far behind on the touchdown numbers, but he should win 2 of the 3 in a healthy fashion in terms of yards and receptions in total. It's Tyreek Hill running away with it.
Yep. Agreed.
Defensive Player of the Year, Chris Dempsey. Who do you got?
I have Micah Parsons.
It's a good pick. Easy pick. That's chalk.
Yeah, he makes it easy to pick him because he is as dominant as they come. Just off that edge, his single... Let's see, his single block win rate is best in the NFL. His pressures are the most in the NFL. The guy is just a beast. He is a beast. He started that way last year. He continues it this year for Dallas Cowboys defense, by the way, which is a really good defense. So Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys, my defensive player of the year.
He was the guy that, if I was going to bang the table for anyone else in the 2021 draft for the Broncos to take, because I don't believe in Justin Fields. I haven't, although he's looked better in the past couple of weeks. I know that's been the big thing of Broncos drafts in the past, where it's like, how did you not draft a quarterback? No. The 2 players that you really should have gone after in 2021 were Pat Surtain, who you end up drafting, and he's fantastic, and Micah Parsons, who's turning into the best overall linebacker in the league.
And by the way, Pat Surtain figures into this defensive player of the year conversation.
That's my pick right now.
Yep.
If the Broncos find a way to be in the conversation going into the second half of the season, even if they miss the playoffs, but they're within shouting distance in like week 15, much of that is going to be on the back of Patrick Surtain because you're going to have to see the Chiefs twice because of how hard the second half of your schedule looks this year. Patrick Surtain has been fan-freaking-tastic. You don't have Randy Gregory. You haven't had Justin Simmons up until the last couple of years, and you still have one of the best and most efficient pass defenses in the league right now. He has been amazing, allowing only 4 yards a target. That's second in the league among all defensive backs. Patrick Surtain if the Broncos are within shouting distance, will win this award. That's why I'm going to give it to him right now. Micah Parsons has been fantastic, but the overall Dallas defense and the help that he's gotten because of how healthy that they've been, I think that's giving him greater strength to rush the passer and get after opposing offenses. Give me Patrick Surtain to take this award the first half.
Okay.
Been really, really good. All right, one more here. Comeback player of the year. That'll close our first half. We'll do a second half of these in the 11 o'clock hour.
Yeah, you know what? So there's two in this I think there's really the only two in this category for me. I'm going to take Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants. I mean, he just is, what he has done from game one and what is most certainly for him, he is playing with a huge chip on his shoulder. And why not? Because we all pretty much wrote him off as a guy who's as young as he is, his best days are already behind him. Oh, but they're not. He's having a great, great year for the Giants. The only other player might be the guy that you're going to pick. I don't know.
Well, there's a few in this conversation. One would be Geno Smith.
Yeah.
The other one could be Saquon Barkley. I have an issue with what comeback player of the year means. Right? Saquon wasn't heavily injured last year. His ACL injury was a couple of years ago. Right? Did he play a full season last year? No, but he still played, 13 games with the Giants? He just wasn't the Saquon that we were used to. Geno Smith wasn't injured last year. He was just a backup to Russell Wilson. So for comeback player of the year, for me, I have to think you were hurt last season. You lost either a big chunk or a majority of the year. That's the reason why mine goes to a guy who just changed teams and a kid from here in Colorado, Christian McCaffrey, coming off of 3 touchdowns. He had that hat trick, passing, receiving, and rushing. I think the 49ers are going to go on a freaking run soon, and he's going to be one of the main reasons. He and Deebo Samuel in that backfield. I've loved what he's been able to do thus far this season, Christian McCaffrey. If he stays healthy, just because he's coming off of major injury, that's the reason why he would be my pick ahead of any of these other guys.
He might, if he repeats anything that what he did against the Rams over the course of the second half of this season, he might figure into Offensive Player of the Year consideration as well.
Listen, I like Saquon. He's been great. He's been, by all measures, the best running back in football. I just don't see him as a comeback Player of the Year candidate because it's not that injury. Just look at what McCaffrey does as we're up against break here. He had 55 rushing yards, 24 and 89 in his last 3 games. But when you go over to receiving, he has been, those are his receiving numbers. When you go over to rushing, he has had 94 on the ground with a touchdown, 69 on the ground with a crap Carolina offense as well. And you can wipe out that week 7 first game with the 49ers when he only had a handful of targets. He's going to continue to see the ball more often. Christian McCaffrey is my leader in the clubhouse for comeback player of the year. Raj and Demps will be back in 3 minutes with more football. Nuggets basketball at 5 p.m. We'll touch on the Avs injury updates that we got yesterday. It wasn't good. Dempsey and Company, Raj alongside Chris Dempsey, taking you guys up until the noon hour where we hand things off to PhD, Columbus, Hastings, and Dover. Nuggets at 5 p.m. You'll hear a pregame show starting right here on these airwaves at 4:30 p.m. Yeah, what's up?
I really hate how I look in these headphones.
Why?
Okay.
Do you need to go buy some new headphones?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the only person. Brett and I are the only guys that bring our own headphones in here. And I don't understand how you heathens, you psychopaths walk in, and I'm not like a germ guy, but how you guys just walk in and throw headphones on that other people use constantly every day. Like I came here from the gym this morning. I was sweaty. I didn't shower. I smell like crap. You're going to use the same headphones that I'm throwing on my disgusting head?
Raj, the worst ones were...
I don't spray these things down with Lysol.
But Moj does.
Moj does.
Yes.
Which is really weird in terms of cleanliness, right?
That's right. These are Lysoled and ready to roll. But during training camp, it was... Look, it's hot, right? It's hot. It's August. It's July and August. And you put these things on and they sweat around your ears. Well, then... If you're the next show behind whatever show, all they do is they put the headphones down and you have to use those things. Those were gross.
Yeah, they're nasty.
They were sweaty and...
So what I'm going to word to the wise here.
Bring my own.
If you saw a pair of headphones with either gray or white padding on the inside of them rather than black.
Yeah.
I think you would see just how disgusting the headphones are that you're putting on your head. The fact that they're black and they don't show like a weird yellow coffee stained residue on them.
Yep.
They're hiding something.
Yep.
It's like not washing your pillowcases, dude. Wash your pillowcases because that stuff is gross. Maybe I am a germ guy.
What are you doing on your pillowcases, Raj?
Pillowcases are just it's funny. I said I'm not a germ guy and I'm about to just give you pillowcases are disgusting. Like they're money type of gross.
It's just your head.
Yeah, your head's gross. Your head's nasty.
How?
You know how much sweat you exude from your pores? I'm a germ guy. Oh my God. I'm that guy. I'm Bubble Boy.
Wait a second.
I thought I was laissez-faire about all these things.
How are the pillows in your house, man?
Clean. Always clean. I wash my pillowcases every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Probably every week and a half. I also like I'm also a big fan of how detergent smells and how dryer sheets smell.
Yeah.
You guys use those those Tide Booster things you shake into the washing machine?
Yep,
those little pellets? If you don't yet, you got to use them.
You got to use them. No, they're good. Those are good. Dan doesn't use those.
I don't know. I like how things smell. Where were we going with this? Nuggets at 5 p.m.
We weren't. Nuggets 5 p.m. Yes.
4:30 pregame show. They're going to be playing the Pacers, looking to win 4 straight here. The Nuggets are healthy right now. Their current roommates at Ball Arena, not so much. Jared Bednar was on the morning show yesterday with Mosier Lombardi, and Kane said he was waiting to hear back on some injury news about a handful of players. As of right now, it's not looking so great. Demps now missing from the lineup either from day-to-day status or month-to-month status. Gabriel Landeskog out until the calendar turns into 2023. Val Nichushkin is now out at least a month after undergoing surgery on his ankle. Yes, the same one that he injured in the offseason, in the playoffs from last year. Bowen Byram is now week-to-week. It's not an upper body injury, so you don't have to worry about that being concussion issues, and that's the scary issue with Bowen Byram.
Right.
It's a lower body. Who knows what it is? It's hockey. Sam Girard is day-to-day, and Darren Helm still does not have a timeline on his return coming back from off-season surgery.
So what does this mean in terms of players that need to step up now?
You have to... That's 171 points that I just listed off from last year. You're going to have a lot of players brought up that are going to be slotted into roles that they're not, one, ready to take over, two, have never seen at the National Hockey League level. Sampo Ranta just got called up from the AHL, so you're going to see another chance for him to show what he can do at the highest level in hockey. He flashed a couple of years ago and then didn't get the same opportunities last season. So could he do it? Do we ever see a guy like Shane Bowers jumping up from the Eagles? There's not a lot of defenseman depth back there in the American Hockey League, like Brad Hunt is going to come up maybe. Probably not. You're just going to see Curtis McDermott slot in as your number six defenseman. So I think this onus is on your guys that you signed in the offseason. Like Arturi Lehkonen, you need to start scoring more. Lekkonen's been perfect. He's been the perfect example of what that player could be. Now I need you to score more. Nathan MacKinnon shooting at under 5% through your first 11 games. You've been one of the hottest players in the league in terms of producing points. Now you don't have all that or even more firepower next to you, particularly in Valerian Nichushkin.
Yep.
You have to be the guy to go score now. I hate to say it, right? Like Nate's got to put the puck in the back of the net, and Nate's been awesome. Nate's been fantastic. No notes about Nathan MacKinnon, but now you got to do both.
Yeah. You know, the Avs they're going through it a little bit here. And depth will be tested, and can you get through it? And we're going to find out. But those are, look, they're not. We're not talking about season-ending injuries, but you start to chunk out months like that enough. They can put, if you let them, they can put dents in your season that you didn't want to be involved with.
Your second line is looking like Evan Rodriguez, Martin Kaut, and Alex Newhook. That's not a second line. That's not a good second line in this league right now. Your third line, pretty good. JT Compher, Logan O'Connor, and Andrew Cogliano. I'm okay with that, but you lose a lot of offensive firepower as soon as MacKinnon, Rantanen, and Lehkonen get off the ice. Maybe you slot in Alex Newhook up there on his off wing with MacKinnon, so you put Mikko down with Evan Rodriguez, and you can kind of start to spread out some of that goal scoring and hope that you just continue to fire the pill well on the power play. That might be what Bednar and company try to do moving forward, or you just go, listen, we're going to play our top line 27 minutes as forwards, and that's not something you normally see during regular season games. That might be it. Maybe that's how you get Alex Newhook going. Go keep up with Nate, man.
Yeah, it's right. No more excuses. We need you to perform.
If you
now.
can't perform with him, you can't perform with anyone.
Yep.
Like who's a guy that the Nuggets have done that in the past with? Like go into the starting five. Like, was it Bones last year having to play with Nikola more often without having your depth at your 1 and 2 guards?
Yeah, Bones, he got a lot of responsibility heaped on him last year because of that. And because you weren't really, let's see, Will Barton wasn't consistent, in terms of scoring to the level, so they had to try to find it from somewhere. So you heap some more responsibility on Bones Highland, especially from the standpoint of, I think, from the standpoint of now you're going to be the backup point guard, because when Facu Campazzo, who, by the way, I saw on the Dallas Mavericks bench, so congratulations to Facu. I didn't know that he was there, but
Still in the league.
Still in the league. So, but yeah, when you take a young player and now you're just like, hey, we need you to do this thing, just go do it. For Bones, that was be the backup point guard, and they just threw him into the fire. And he was able to, he handled himself pretty well last year as a rookie, and that he ended up being second team all rookie in the NBA. So for Newhook, yeah, this is
sink or swim, buddy.
Yeah. And sometimes, sometimes as a player, it's easier that way because to a certain extent that if you don't perform, obviously this is the opportunity that might pass you by. But also you don't have that necessarily, especially in hockey, you don't have that shift to shift. Okay, you're looking over your shoulder. Just do it, man. We're counting on you. So go ahead.
Yeah, you have 2.5 minutes to figure it out if you had a bad shift.
You have the green light. Go.
This one from the 947, Raj, are they going to make any roster moves? I was at the Eagles game the other night, and there are no defensemen there that can play at the NHL level. I agree with you. Forwards, maybe a couple of guys. Yeah, I just mentioned the couple of forwards there. I always thought Kiefer Sherwood was the guy that stuck really well. Dylan Sakura can play in the National Hockey League as well. I've loved Jean-Luc Foudy, but he's just too young, too small. I don't want to say fragile because that feels like a punch at a young kid. He's just not ready to play at the NHL level right now. I fear that Shane Bowers will never be an NHL hockey player if it's not going to happen this year with all of these injuries. So those are guys that I'd like to see brought up from the defensive side. Like you're looking at two guys, and I mentioned one earlier. The other would be Keaton Middleton, but I worry about foot speed for this Avs defensive core in the final pairing, right? Especially with a guy like Curtis McDermott, who's loved in the locker room, played as well as he could have last year. Not very fleet of foot. Keaton Middleton, not as fleet of foot as Curtis McDermott is. So that's what I have to tell you right there. I don't know what's going to happen, guys. I really don't. And the MLB hot stove is starting to kind of heat up. The biggest closer now off the board with Edwin Diaz re-signing with the Mets. It is the offseason of the shortstop outside of Aaron Judge. I heard a lot of people talking about, like, what would Aaron Judge look like here in the Mile High City at Coors Field?
He would look amazing.
I know it's fantasy talk, but I went into StatCast. I looked at the numbers.
Good.
Because I love these things, right?
Yeah.
I love playing, armchair GM and Major League Baseball, the show, franchise, and all that crap. Aaron Judge projected, if he were to play every one of his home games here at Coors Field last year, would have hit 73 home runs. It would have tied the Major League record for home runs in a season. How much fun would that be? He would have hit 73 last year. In his 2017 season, where Judge had 56, he would have hit 63 as a member of the Rockies. The only other team that can boast those kind of numbers because of their park is Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati with the Reds. He would have the same exact home run total.
Boy, that would be awesome. It'd
be so much fun, man.
It really would be. And, it just brings... I wish the Rockies would just go back to Blake Street Bombers. Just do that.
Go all in.
Just do that. They were never more feared as a lineup from 1 to 9 than when they were the Blake Street Bombers. And, look, do you need pitching? Yes, of course you do. But if you're scoring 5-6 runs a game, now you can have some pitchers with some bloated ERAs here and still be okay.
I mean, those Blake Street Bombers teams never really got it done. They made the playoffs once, and they won one game.
It's okay.
So that's the only thing. It would be entertaining. The game has changed to be more of the Blake Street Bombers, right?
Well, look,
home runs or strikeout. There you go. That's how you win.
Baseball as a sport wants runs scored no matter what. They're putting, look, you go into extra innings, they're putting a runner literally on second base in extra innings now to try to get runs on the board and create more excitement. But yeah, I think for the Rockies, okay, what are we talking about in terms of playoff drought here?
You haven't made the playoffs since 2018 when they got swept in the NLDS.
Cool. So
they haven't won a game in the playoffs since 2009.
So the rest of this business isn't working. You know what I'm saying? It's so. I mean, look, you can have all the humidors and sign all the pitching that you want, but you haven't won a playoff game since 2009.
Sign all the players. I just want to see a bunch of home runs. Maybe even bring Brandon Nimmo in fourth place. Mia is old high school teammate. Brandon Nimmo. He could get on base, and then Aaron Judge. For $400 million, you could get Brandon Nimmo on first base, and Aaron Judge bring him home 70 times a year, and the Rockies would still finish fourth.
Just embrace the altitude. It's fine. Embrace the altitude. It's fine.
Up against here. Got to take a break. On the other side, we will be joined by Altitude TV's Katie Wingy ahead of the Nuggets taking on the Pacers at 5 p.m. Katie joins us next on
Welcome back to Dempsey and Company on a Wednesday. What is it, morning? Yeah, we're still in the morning here, but Katie is not in the morning. She is in the afternoon in Indianapolis, Indiana. The Nuggets taking on the Indiana Pacers tonight at 5 o'clock, 4:30 pregame show on Altitude Sports Radio and Altitude Television. Katie Wengie, what's going on?
Just living it up in Indianapolis. What else could you ask for?
One of my favorite cities on the face of this earth. Actually, no, it's not. No, it's not.
There can't be much to do there. What is there to do, Katie? What have you been doing the last day?
I would say it's a very average city. We're still in a city, and so you can walk to restaurants. There's shopping around. So there is stuff to do. It's not the worst. It's not the best.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
It's just there. It's just sitting.
And I will say this. We got here early this year, so it's November, which means it's not bone-chilling cold yet either. So I have an appreciation for that as well.
Facts. That's all facts, because let me just tell you, that place gets freezing cold. But what's not freezing cold, Katie, is the Nuggets offense. So here's what we know. The Nuggets offense ranks 8th in the NBA in points, ranks 1st in the NBA in field goal percentage, 1st in the NBA in three-point percentage, 2nd in the NBA in assists, 5th in the NBA in offensive rating, 3rd in the NBA in fast break points per game. Why on earth are the Nuggets so good on offense to start off this season?
I mean, have you seen their roster? Have you seen the depth of the offensive talent that this Nuggets team has? No, in all seriousness, I think we're just seeing Denver Nuggets basketball on that side of the ball being played at the highest of levels. We always talk about great ball movement, passing up good shots for great shots, unselfish play, and that has been exactly the type of clinic that the Nuggets have been putting on. You have a variety of players that are able to score and score in different ways. I think the two-man game between Murray and Jokic is just peak level right now. I thought it would take a little bit longer, honestly, to get that back in rhythm, but it seems like the two of them have just picked up right where they left off. And then you see, two-man games around Jokic also forming. Michael Porter Jr. has developed a great chemistry with him. Aaron Gordon. I mean, how many teams in the NBA have a 4-5 pick and roll that they can run? The Nuggets have been doing that. So they're just able to be really creative. They're playing really free, and they're making all the shots because they're getting great shots because they're working together.
Let's go to the other side of the ball then, other side of the court. Tyrese Halliburton right now, one of the most efficient players in the league. I think he's 13th in player efficiency rating. He's nearly averaging a double-double with 21.5 points a game, almost 10 assists per game. Whose job is it to stop Tyrese Halliburton? And let's throw in another player like Buddy Hield from Beyond the Arc.
So I'm going to give kind of a cop-out coaching answer to this question, but I know it's not going to be one guy. And the reason that I say that is because Denver's defense, however it is over the last two games, now number 5 in defensive rating. So they are trending in the right direction as of late. I will just say this. They don't have the best defenders in terms of containing guys one-on-one. So what that means is the entire defense has to be on a string. They have to make sure that their help side is there early, that they're giving pick and rolls a bunch of different looks, whether that's trapping, whether that's dropping, whether that's being up at the level, and even more so in this game, right? Because you're going to have a player like Miles Turner, who's coming off a huge game. He's going to be the center in some of those pick and rolls. You're also going to see Jalen Smith being the center in some of those pick and rolls, who can also roll to the basket and can shoot threes. And then you have the shooting efficiency and the offensive efficiency that is Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. So you have to be able to take away threes. I think if you can take away the number of threes that they're attempting, even if it's just 1 or 2 less than their average, Buddy Hield is shooting 10 threes a game. And so if you can make him shoot 7, Halliburton shooting 7 threes a game, if you can make him shoot 5, or at least make sure that you're not giving them any wide open looks, that will be good for Denver's defense. You're going to have to challenge them. KYP, knowing your personnel and being disciplined to that is going to be huge. But the Nuggets are going to be tested. They have to get back because this team loves to run in transition, and a lot of those threes come from those moments, guys.
Yeah. I mentioned the Nuggets, fast break points per game. Right above them are the Indiana Pacers. In that category, we're speaking with Katie Wengie of Altitude Television. She will be on the call tonight with Chris Marlowe from Indiana when the Nuggets take take on the Pacers. And Katie, I know even in the last couple of games, we've started to see a little more of the Jamal Murray that we all knew prior to the injury. What are you seeing from him, especially in these last couple of games that has maybe you excited about where he's trending, how he's trending this season?
I think just the comfortability that I've seen from him and how he has allowed himself to just play the game. A lot of times when you have an injury like that keeps you out for such a prolonged period of time, when you first come back, it's hard not to think about it. So the more moments in the game where you find yourself lost in just basketball, the better you're progressing, if that makes sense. And I think we've seen more and more moments for Jamal Murray where he's just able to get lost in basketball. What I've loved most, though, is how he's contributing in so many different ways. He's been aggressive, and an aggressive Jamal, I think, is where the Nuggets need him to be, especially coming off of that high pick and roll. At first, it kind of seemed like he was just looking for Nikola Jokic in a passing situation, and what he has grown and very quickly gone back to is, hey, I need to look for my shot first and come out off that screen like I'm going to be a scorer, because then everything else opens up, and that pass to Jokic is a lot easier to make. So I think just watching him become more comfortable, watching him get his rhythm back, watching him be more and more aggressive, it's been great. It's been tremendous. It's happened a lot faster than I think any of us thought. But again, this is going to be a process. There are going to be games that are really good, and there are going to be games that, he's still kind of struggling in these areas. One of the things I loved about the last game was him and Coach Malone had a really long talk after shoot-around in San Antonio, and Coach was just kind of checking in with Jamal and saying, how are you feeling? What are you seeing out there? What's kind of going through your head? And Jamal answered that, but then he also said, well, Coach, what are you seeing out there? And was asking for Coach's feedback. Coach said, well, I think that you can rebound better. Your rebounding hasn't been super high. I think you should be getting about 5 a game. Well, Murray goes out that very next game and gets 5 rebounds. And so just little moments like that where he's comfortable enough to ask for more, to get back into, producing at a very high level, that's huge for Jamal's progress.
For those who don't know, Katie, can you fill me in on the whole peanut butter jelly situation?
So I'd love to. I'd love nothing more than to talk about peanut butter jelly time.
I have a follow-up question after this, too, so just make sure you hang on to the thread.
Yes. Okay. So Coach Malone, after the last game, said, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, they go together like peanut butter and jelly. They just are each other's perfect matches. And so we kind of went and asked both Jamal and Nikola, the media did, I think it was Mike Singer that asked Jamal in the locker room of like, how do you feel about peanut butter and jelly being the nickname? And Jamal said, well, I got to be the jelly. And Jokic was 2 lockers down. And so he looked at Jokic and just was like, what do you think about peanut butter and jelly? And he was like, who am I? And Jamal was like, you got to be the peanut butter. And the clip that's going viral is Jamal saying, you got to be peanut butter because you're thick. And they both laugh about it. And it was a really funny moment in the locker room of just them being like, yeah, I guess that works. So that has been their new nickname. That has been kind of something that's been going viral around the Nuggets, is Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic as peanut butter and jelly.
I just can't wait for the song to come up at Ball Arena. I have to ask the question. It's because of our Twitch fan. You watch our programs on twitch.tv/AltitudeSR all the time. And my Twitch community has had an ongoing question. If you see a peanut butter and jelly floating down a river in a sealed Ziploc bag, you're just out on a nice summertime float, right? It's down the Platte. You're on a float. You're enjoying a couple of beers. You see a sealed, untouched PB&J. Do you eat it?
I am just so fascinated about how we got here.
Do you eat the peanut butter and jelly?
I need to think. Okay, after a very thorough evaluation, if that baggie is fully zipped, and I unzip it, and that sandwich is not, dry from the water. If it is a normal looking sandwich, I'm also going to open up the pieces of bread and look inside and say, does anything look suspect
You're going to
in
deconstruct
this sandwich? Yes, I'm going to thoroughly evaluate it. And also, I would say this, it depends on how hungry I am at the time, because if I'm desperate, the evaluation is going to happen quick, it's going to be efficient, and if there's nothing skeptical about it, I'm eating it.
Ugh.
No, I'm not going to eat it.
Here's the thing about me and Katie. food wise, we are not peanut butter and jelly. She likes pineapple on pizza. I can't stand it. I like candy corn for Halloween.
Have taste and he doesn't. That's what it is. I have taste and he doesn't.
Do you have a bland palate, Chris?
Well, I love. What do I love?
I'm learning more things about my co-host, Katie.
Lobster mac and cheese.
Oh,
wine and lobster mac and cheese.
Yeah.
That's not bland at all.
Also love breakfast food. Pancakes, omelets.
Yep. But not milk and cereal.
You learn a lot about the people that you work with when you travel with them.
That's facts.
Listen, I love it. I had to ask the question.
I
had to do it.
Order Chris Dempsey's meal.
Yeah, you probably could. I'm nothing if not consistent. You know what, Katie? We were asking the question early, I think right at the beginning of the show, as a matter of fact. What does a successful Nuggets season look like all the way to whenever it is that they finish in the playoffs? What does that look like for you?
We're already going there, huh?
Yeah, we're going there.
Already going there 10 games in.
Today.
I'm more of a live in the present kind of woman, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So with that in mind, though, I think a lot of that, obviously, as with any NBA team, depends on health. But I think if they stay healthy, I don't think it's unrealistic to say they come out of the West. Like, I don't think it's unrealistic to say that they're playing in the Western Conference Finals. I don't think a championship is off the table if they stay healthy and they continue to play, at this pace. I think the defense the ship has started to right itself a little bit if they can keep that in the right place. And Coach Malone has always said, top 5 defense, top 5 offense, and you can't win at the highest of levels if you don't defend. Like, the best offenses in the league can only take you so far. So I think if they can, I would even settle for top 10 in offense and top 10 in defense and see where, the cards fall from there. So let's aim for that and then see what results we get.
All right,
come playoff time.
Sorry, kid, I didn't mean to step on you there. Last one before we let you get out of here. It's an early game, 4:30 pregame, 5 p.m. tip right here with Kaz on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Be sure, if you're at home, watch Altitude TV with Katie and Chris Marlowe on the call. 6-point favorites for the Nuggets. Give me a field tonight. Prediction, is it 4 in a row? Do they continue rolling, or is this a sneaky trap hiccup game?
The Nuggets are favored by 6.
6 is the line right now.
That feels like a lot to me. And the only reason that I say that is because Indiana's coming off a pretty big win against New Orleans. Their starters played really well. And I think the Nuggets will handle their business if they don't get beat in transition. Transition is my number 1 key tonight. So if they can make sure that they stay disciplined to, sending 3, sending 4 back, you're not going to see a lot of them crash the offensive glass tonight just because Indiana runs and plays at such a fast level. So if you can defend the 3, including in transition, and then just defend transition defense overall, I think they'll be okay.
All right, there you have it. There she is, Katie Wingy of Altitude Television, the Nuggets in Indianapolis. This is game, 2 of 4 on the road? 2 of 4 on the road tonight. The Nuggets taking on the Indiana Pacers. Katie, we really appreciate it.
No problem. I'll say this, too. The peanut butter and jelly floating down the river comment, it also would be great content. And I'm always thinking about content.
Yep, facts.
So I'll just say that. I think people would watch a good TikTok about somebody finding a floating peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
When the weather turns and plat surfing and plat floating happens again, we will make sure it happens. I'm putting myself out there.
That's not how this works. You can't set it up.
What? I'm not going to do it in the middle of November when that water is 32 degrees.
What? No, this has to just casually happen.
Okay, I'll get hypothermia.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
No, has this happened to somebody? How did this conversation start?
I don't know how it started. It was just our Twitch viewers sometime during the pandemic. We were bored. Someone sent us a cake that looked like a peanut butter and jelly floating down the river. I don't know. I don't make up these things. It's our audience that does it. They do my job for me, Katie.
Sounds like you made it up, Raj.
I like it. I like the topic. I'll let you guys continue to discuss. Thank you.
We'll see you tonight, Katie. Oh, I love it. Wingy Wednesdays, complete with PB&Js.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm setting myself up for failure here. Going into freezing cold rivers, putting up tackle bets with McChesney. Like, I'm going to be dead by the time that the year comes out. We've been a show for 2 weeks. I'm now a target. I don't like this.
Well, some of us are targets and some of us are arrows.
I know what I am now. It's not good. Dempsey, Raj, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Alex Ryan-Emmy and Chris Dempsey, the namesake of the program. Dempsey and Company, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 in the Bud Light Studios. If you guys want to join us, 303-504-0925 on the Shop Mazda text line. If you saw a peanut butter and jelly floating down a river in a sealed bag, would you eat it? Katie Wingy says yes. Tyler Columbus says yes. I say yes. Demps, you're more of a no guy?
Yeah, I'm a no guy.
All right,
yeah.
I understand that.
Or if it was even on a plate, because I don't.
How would
like
it be on a
peanut-
plate floating down a river?
No,
The physics don't work.
No, it would not. You're right. It would not be on a plate floating down the river.
Oh, you're
I'm
saying just like in a
or if
kitchen.
it was just even in a kitchen, because I don't like peanut
It's
butter
funny, a
and jelly.
PB&J, like a raspberry jam or raspberry preserves PB&J is
Yeah.
a staple breakfast food for me.
Also, it became for a point in time. I don't know if it's still this way in the NBA. It used to be on every team's plane. And
PB&J's
every
like
team's-
Uncrustables?
and every team's locker room like that. It became the sandwich that players just ate all the time.
You're not telling me you wouldn't muck an Uncrustable right now in 12 seconds?
I just don't like peanut butter and jelly.
Is it the peanut butter or is it the jelly? Is it the combination of the two? I'm just questioning because it is an American staple.
Actually,
Like,
you know what?
Grape jelly is atrocious.
Yeah,
that is
you don't
serial killer terrorist
you don't
stuff.
like grape jelly?
Grape jelly's nonsense. Raspberry or strawberry, and that's it. Grape is crazy stuff.
You know what I used to put peanut butter and jelly on was Ritz crackers when I was.
I like that.
So I think it's the bread that I don't like. It's the bread.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
I can get down with peanut butter and jelly.
All right, now I'm starting to understand you a little bit more now. This is how we peel back the onion layers that are Chris Dempsey. All right, before we get on too much of a tangent, too much of a tributary as we're on rivers right now, let's get into our second half of our first half of the year. NFL awards, we've already given you MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Comeback Player of the Year. That means we have remaining Offensive Rookie and Defensive Rookie, as well as NFL Head Coach. So let's start with the players right now. My guy, Offensive Player of the Year thus far, and he's just starting to come into his own. Running back Kenneth Walker III for the Seattle Seahawks. They are resurgent, on absolute fire, have only lost 3 games this season. They beat the Broncos in week 1, but he had 109 yards on the ground in a 10-point victory at Arizona last week, 2 touchdowns as well. He's been awesome in the receiving game too. I believe he's got 2-4 through the air this season too. 167 yards week 7 at the Chargers in yet another win, 37-23 for the Seahawks that week. He had 97 the week before against the Cardinals in the second of a divisional sweep for them. He's continued to be awesome. I loved him at Michigan State before he got hurt at the end of last year. I thought he was going to be one of the front runners for the Heisman, but unfortunately wasn't in the cards for the old Spartan there. He's my guy, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, boy, it's hard to believe he wasn't the starter for this football team at the beginning of the season. I mean, if Rashad Penny never got hurt, he would not have this kind of opportunity to shine. So I think ultimately he will end up being the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go Chris Olave, wide receiver from the New Orleans Saints. Just a really, really nice season so far. And boy, 43 catches, 618 yards, a couple of touchdowns. It just, as a rookie, I like what he's done. He's got a couple of 100-yard receiving games, come in and done the job, especially for a team that hasn't had Michael Thomas by and large. Continue. As a matter of fact, Michael Thomas is going to miss the rest of the season. So Chris Olave has come in and played really, really well for a team that really actually hasn't played well overall. But I like what he has put out on the field.
Imagine what he could do with consistent quarterback play.
Boy.
Because that's what derails New